represent. Cause my love is the bomb. Be on the telephone, how you got it going on, and how you keep me satisfied. Ooh, yeah. But actions speak louder than words. I'ma see what I've heard. Is it true or do you lie? Cause I need somebody giving nothing but the loving all through the night. Oh yeah, someone to break me up a little something when I need to be satisfied. And I don't want to never find another love as good as this. So you better represent. Cause my love is the things I say to you, I swear that they are true. I'm all you'll ever need. Oh yeah. Good love is so hard to find, and I won't waste your time. Satisfaction is guaranteed. I'll be the lover that you need to break you off in the middle of the night. I'll take a little trip downtown. I'll be the freak you need in your life. As good as this. So you better represent. So my love is my love. Don't stop, get it, don't stop, get it, don't stop, get it, don't stop, get it. Let me work that body, baby. 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 Never find another love as good as this. Oh no. So you better represent. You better represent. My love is the love. I don't want no much. I give it to my soul. Can't imagine the skin body on your that there's a big so you better represent. My love is my
What's going on, Conscious crew? Welcome to another riveting episode of the Consciouztv platform. Hope you guys are having a wonderful hump day. This is your favorite breakdown commentator, okay? For those of you who want to know who that was My Love Is the Shit, I Get So Lonely, the TikTok remix. Let me post a link to this man's SoundCloud because they only have like half the song on YouTube. You have to go to his actual playlist, which I just put in the chat for those of you who are interested. It's the very first song on the page. So just scroll down on the page and you'll see. Shout out to my baby mother, Patricia. Hey, boo. Hey, Patricia. Thank you so much, love. You so fine. You fine, a child. Thank you for your donation. You guys know that all donation links are in the description and they're on the ticker. And my handy dandy beautiful moderators also rotate all links to all social media platforms. Now, you guys already know what we're here to get into. So before we get deep off into this thing, I need you guys to go ahead and thumbs up the video. You guys know that YouTube has changed their algorithm. So shit is just not good as always. Okay, YouTube never makes any change that actually helps content creators. So thumbing up the video is very important. It's more important than subscribing, girl. I'd rather y'all thumbs up than subscribe, to be quite fucking honest. Okay, so please thumbs up until it is absolutely stuck. This helps with the weird ass algorithm, but it also triggers up the notification system and helps to alert all the other unsuspecting Conscious crew members who have no idea that we are live and in color right now. Also, make sure that you are subscribing. Shout out to the 43.3 and counting. Welcome all new Conscious crew members. Also, make sure that you guys are sharing the link. I don't give a damn where you place the link, honey. Your personal OF, Twitter, the dark side of Tumblr. I don't give a damn. Just let them whores know that we live and in color. And make sure that you have your notification bell set to all so that you never miss a day or hour of the Consciouztv platform. With no further ado, let's go ahead and push on through.
I know a place where you can recharge your soul.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
And in the midst of brokenness, he gon' see your asshole.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
You gon' heal, you gon' laugh and catch a little shade.
Ooh, girl.
Y'all know he be slaying, y'all better stop playing. Come hear what he's saying.
Ladies and gentlemen.
So what's going on, you guys? Hope you guys are having a wonderful hump day. Let me show you a gift that one of my concubines got for me. Look at this, you guys. It is like it's like a handbag. It can be worn as a purse or a sling bag. Okay, and I am living for this. Okay, now I know it's on the dark side a little bit, you know, the skull and everything, but you know, the skull doesn't have that dark of a spiritual meaning. The skull, spiritually speaking, actually represents mortality. It can represent ancestry, etc. So you know, it doesn't necessarily represent demons or anything like that. And it's pretty deep, honey. Okay, I'm gonna be wearing it. Hold on, let me show you the depth, girl. Okay, it's pretty deep, girl. So your cell phone, your lip gloss, your wallet, your credit cards, your man's credit cards, you know, his man's credit cards, you know, all of that good jazz. I love this so much. So I'm gonna be wearing it going across like this. It fits perfectly, but I ordered like another chain because I don't like the strap, but fucking cute as hell. Now, speaking of mortality and humanity, we are here to get into your favorite residential bishop. Okay, now this commentary is probably going to be interesting. There's a reason why I didn't really touch on the Glory of God situation, and it's because it's not as much of a romantic tale as some would think that it is. Okay, so I kind of just stayed away from it as much as I could, but there's so much drama happening around Unhinged's residential bishop and this church and ownership and occupancy that we just got to talk about it. Okay. Now, you guys know that the Neighborhood Talk posted about the bishop who is allegedly, girl, being sued for millions of dollars. Okay, millions and millions and millions of dollars. So let's go ahead and take a little look, pooch over to Miss Old Nasty Neighborhood Talk child, because it's a lot going on. Okay. So this is Neighborhood Talk, who posted on yesterday that robbing Peter to pay Paul, Bishop Lamor Whitehead allegedly created a fake deed to obtain ownership of a church to evict its members and start its own. Neighbors, Bishop Lamar is in more legal trouble. We previously reported about him changing the locks and evicting church members from a building he allegedly won at an auction. Turns out he may have falsified the deed and never owned the church at all. According to court documents, Bishop Lamar Whitehead filed false paperwork to claim possession of a church building whose congregation he evicted. Okay, now we're going to get into a more in-depth article. Okay, now what's interesting about this here post, courtesy of the Neighborhood Talk, is that Bishop, whose comment has now been deleted, also commented underneath this post and threatened to sue the Neighborhood Talk, girl. Okay, sued, honey. Okay, claimed that they were only listening to one side, and you know that's been his normal casual rhetoric, is that nobody is reading the court records properly and everybody is dumb and none of these folk reporting are lawyers, etc. Boom, pow, that what should be happening is that people should be reaching out to him for his side, okay? So he was telling Neighborhood Talk that they ought to be reaching out to get his side, but we already know what his side looks like whenever he's sitting in front of anybody, whether that be Mark Lamont Hill or Angela Yee, etc. He pussy pop, he deflects, and he throws out the casual, you know, I can't speak about it because it's an open case. So what the fuck would be the point of even talking to Criminal Head? What would be the point? Okay. Nonetheless, he threatened legal action against the blog. Okay. Now, upon threatening Neighborhood Talk for one-sided, allegedly slanderous posting, he actually is being sued by the trustee of the Glory of God building. Okay, so let's get into nypost.com, and then we're going to get into the city NYC, and then I'm going to give you guys some of my commentary, and then I may drop the link if we have some time. Okay, how doing? It's a mess, child. Well, before we get there, okay, so you guys know that the Glory of God and Bishop have been going through it. You guys know that he wrongfully evicted the Glory of God congregation, changed the locks, threw all of their shit out to the curbside, and he's been preaching in the building since December. So for the past 3 or so months, he's occupied the building. Of course, Glory of God did not stand for this, so they took the bishop to housing court, and there has been crazy litigation going on, and I mean, it's been a mess. It went from federal to local back to federal. It's been all these jurisdiction issues. You guys know that also Milk Dud head Brian L. Ponder, who was clout chasing and representing Bishop, also lost his mother during the last chapter of litigation with the Glory of God, and so that gave the bishop an extension, etc. You guys may or may not know that the bishop then went and filed for bankruptcy, which also pretty much froze all his assets, including the Glory of God property as well. So it didn't allow for there to be any movement until that was cleared up. But he since has retracted the bankruptcy, and Glory of God was out on their ass for this whole time, occupying another space, while also continuing to get the good fight over this property. Well, recently, Glory of God was able to claim their original territory. They were able to seize the property. They were able to change the locks. They were able to proceed these events with police presence the same way that Criminal Head did them. And man, there was some pretty notable damage done to the Glory of God church. One of the walls had been completely knocked out, looked tired and raggedy as hell. According to the minister of the church, several of the church safes were also removed from the church. Within these safes, there were hundreds of thousands of dollars, monies of envelopes, all type of valuables. The entire safes are completely gone, removed from the property, child. Okay. There's video footage all over the internet. Pam Esquire, the Law Intellect, has footage on her platform, as well as Tasha Howard, who also went and was there the day that the bishop was being escorted out of the church. I may play some of that footage. She showed the damage that was done. Criminal Head bouncing to and fro the building, unplugging his iMacs and taking furniture from the church and removing his valuables, etc. At one point, he caught one of the women, not Tasha herself, but caught one of the women who were kind of standing in the walkway that he was going in and out of. He caught her fat or bloated or something because he felt she had the camera all up in his damn face. There was also a verbal confrontation between him and a male member of the Glory of God. Looked like things could have came to blows. Lamor was threatening the guy to make him leave. And it was a hot ghetto, New York, raggedy, tired, up north ass fucking mess. Okay? Ski jumping. That's right. Ski jumping, child. It's been a mess, okay? So, with that, there's been also some action since Lamar's untimely eviction as well. So let's go ahead and read from the NY Post about the shenanigans that are now happening after his post-eviction chat. Okay. According to NY Post, flashy NYC Bishop Lamor Whitehead accused in $5 million suit of locking congregation out of Brooklyn church. Flashy Brooklyn Bishop Lamor Whitehead has been sued for $5 million in an ongoing dispute with another congregation over claims that he tried to kick them out of their house of worship court paper show. The embattled 44-year-old clergyman, who's known for driving a Rolls Royce and wearing pricey jewelry and Gucci suits, were slapped with the lawsuit in Brooklyn court last week by the Glory of God Global Ministry in Canarsie in legal fight over the congregation's 5904 Foster Avenue property. Whitehead is accused of buying the building at auction, then illegally changing the locks just weeks before Christmas, barring hundreds of members of the Glory of God from being able to attend Sunday services. AM New York first reported a judge sided with Glory of God in January in a separate housing court case allowing the ministry back into their building. But now the Glory of God wants a Brooklyn Supreme Court judge to find Whitehead liable for breach of contract to the tune of $5 million for the alleged stunt. The church also wants Whitehead to give up the property and be forever barred from claiming ownership of the building. Whitehead brought the building for $1.94 million in February of 2022 during a foreclosure auction. But a senior pastor at Glory of God bought the tax lien that prompted the foreclosure, claiming they never turned over the building to Whitehead. The congregation also claims Whitehead took over the building without a proper court order first, the outlet reported. Whitehead, who was indicted over federal fraud charges in a separate case, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy and later argued that the declaration should put on hold any ruling in the housing court case, the news site reported, which it did. Prosecutors claimed that Whitehead scammed members of his own congregation, the Mugshots of Tomorrow International Ministries in Canarsie, and Dr. Bank record so he could secure a loan for his $1 million New Jersey mansion. Whitehead, who has ties to Mayor Eric Adams. Hold on for 1 second, you guys. Hold on for 1 second. All right, you guys. Sorry about that. Somebody was at my door. Hold on. Hold on, you guys. And thumbs up the video. If you are in a motherfucking building. All right. Is King Jobs in here? Let me see. Is King Jobs in here? I can't see you, King Jobs. Is King in here? Yes. Did you just call me King? I'm like, did King just call me? Because my phone was being weird. I'm like, is this King? Because then like it went away. My phone is acting so crazy. Hey, King Joyce. Matter of fact, brief segue. King is going to be in the building with me tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time right here on the Consciouztv platform. So make sure you guys are tuned in for that. I already have the watch page set. So make sure you have your reminder and go ahead and thumbs up the video. Okay. Okay, you guys, so let's get back to this article, okay? Prosecutors claim that Whitehead scammed members of his own congregation, the Mugshots of Tomorrow International Ministries in Canarsie, a doctorate bank record and doctorate bank records, so he could secure a loan for his $1 million New Jersey mansion. Whitehead, who has ties to Mayor Eric Adams, then filed a $200 million slander lawsuit against businessman Brandon Belmonte last month, claiming that Belmonte's statement in a New York article led to the federal case against him. This man is a complete and utter idiot. He also made headlines last year when he was robbed at gunpoint during a sermon that was being live streamed. Whitehead's lawyer, or ex-attorney, we should say at this point, Brian L. Ponda, told the Post the new case is frivolous and said once his client is served, they will move to dismiss it and seek sanctions against the plaintiff and its attorney. Well, Brian L. Ponda isn't even getting his own goddamn sanctions, okay? What's going on, Pam? Hey, Pam, Mugshots of Tomorrow, baby. Okay? Period. Mother and bury it, child, okay? Now, so you guys see the glory of God. They are wanting this man completely barred. They're wanting there to be some type of legal precedent that disallows Lamor from being able to occupy this space again and to do what he unfortunately was able to do the first time around. Okay, now let's get into an article by the city.nyc. Okay, shout out to everybody in the building. You guys thumbs up the video and share the live stream. Okay, now courtesy of the city. Okay, now this is where I'm kind of got confusions at. Okay, I'm like, are there two different lawsuits going on? Because the glory of God is one thing. The trustee, Michael Moses, is another thing. Okay, so I don't know if we're talking about. Yes, okay, yeah, because I was like, okay, this got to be two different. Oh my God, woo, baby, they are air juggling. They are air juggling. Bishop Whitehead, girl. Oh my God. The actual founders of the ministry are coming for his neck as well as the owner of the actual building. My God, today. Okay, let's get into it, you guys. According to the city NYC, Bishop Lamor Whitehead accused of deed theft at Brooklyn church he evicted. In battle, Bishop Lamor Whitehead filed false paperwork to claim possession of a church building whose congregation he then evicted, according to a lawsuit filed in Brooklyn Supreme Court on Friday. The property in question, a nondescript, low-slung building on Foster Avenue in East Flatbush, had served for nearly a decade as the house of worship for Glory of God Global Ministry before Whitehead changed the locks and kicked out the congregation of about 200 worshipers last December. But according to the lawsuit, Whitehead never owned the property he evicted the ministry from. The property was purchased by a trust owned by Maryland resident Michael Moses and his sister Ladaya at a tax sale auction for $1.9 million in February of 2022, the suit says. After the sale went through, Whitehead contacted the siblings to express interest in buying the building. In turn, they granted him permission to evict the current tenants while securing financing for the property, the suit alleges. Although Whitehead never got that financing, the suit alleges he submitted fraudulent new deed to the office of the city register in April that claimed he and his church, Mugshots of Tomorrow International Ministries in Canarsie, were the rightful owners. Quote, the fraudulent deed was executed and recorded without the knowledge or consent of plaintiff Michael Moses, the trustee of that trust, according to the lawsuit, which seeks $3.5 million in damages from Whitehead and his church, and for the city to void their deed. Reached on the phone Monday afternoon, Whitehead said that he hadn't been served a copy of the lawsuit, so he didn't know the specifics, but stressed that the allegation he filed a false deed was unfounded. That's a frivolous lawsuit. That's it, he said, declining to provide additional details. Attorneys for Michael and Ladaya Moses, who claim ownership of the building, did not immediately return a request for comment. The lawsuit is the latest legal hurdle for Whitehead. He faces federal charges for allegedly swindling one of his parishioners out of her life savings, a claim that was first reported by the city. The prosecutors also allege he tried to force a businessman to give him $500,000 in loan in exchange for favorable actions from New York City authorities that he had no ability to deliver on, and fake bank records to finance his New Jersey mansion. Mayor Eric Adams has previously described Whitehead as, quote, my good friend and good brother, and called himself a mentor to the minister who previously served time in prison for grand larceny and identity fraud. The relationship between the two men came under scrutiny after Whitehead was robbed of $1 million in jewelry during a sermon last July. While Whitehead and Moses' siblings wrangle over ownership of the property in court, congregants who have prayed for the Foster Avenue building since 2014 found themselves without a house of worship after the minister suddenly gave them the boot as he looked to buy the building. The lockout happened with no notice, according to Pastor Joseph Williams, the congregation's leader, who recalled getting an alert from the church's alarm system last December, saying there had been a break-in. When the Williams arrived at the church, he found the locks had been changed, according to photos submitted in state court. He said that police on the scene told him there was a new owner and he could do nothing about the congregation's possessions that were still inside. The ministry had to rent out a new church facility for several months and to halt a weekly food pantry that has served 200 families each Sunday, he said. Quote, "It was so much on the members," Williams said. "It's very devastating." Glory of God Global Ministry sued last December, arguing the Whitehead had illegally evicted them. Civil Court Judge Sandra Roper sided in the ministry's favor, issuing an order restoring the building to its possession on January 25th. When they finally got back inside in April, Williams said the damage was immense. Photos taken outside the church and submitted in court showed many of the congregation's belongings heaped into dumpsters. The church sued Whitehead again for $5 million in damages last week. AM New York reported, despite the damage, Gloria God Global Ministry started worshiping again on Foster Avenue last month and reopened the food pantry. William told the city, quote, "Everybody is happy," he said. "They're praying. It has been tough." The claim that Whitehead may not be the owner of the building in the first place came as another surprise for Williams. "It's a big shock," he said. "I leave everything in the hands of God." Asked about the congregation's eviction from Foster Avenue, Whitehead defended his tactics. Quote, "They're illegally occupying the building, and when we go back to court, they'll be removed," he said, before hanging the fuck up. It's a lot going on. So, as I stated earlier in the live stream, you guys, I myself, you guys know I do my fair share of commentating on the bishop, but I particularly kind of stayed out of the Glory of God ministry situation because the reality is the paperwork behind the Glory of God is really funky and it's a lot going on. And Bishop Criminal Head is such the bad guy that it's hard for anybody to really be fair when it comes to him. And I didn't feel like doing any fair reporting as it relates to him because, you know, the one time the boy cries wolf and he may somewhat be in right standing, who gives a damn? You know, when you've been blatantly wrong 8 other times, 15, 12 other times. So essentially what has happened with the Glory of God is that Michael Moses and his sibling created a trust. They are the ones who actually own the building. And the Glory of God ministry, the entity, they were actually squatting in the building. They had not been paying their rent for months. Now, during Bishop Criminal Head's stint at the event space, the infamous event space where the robbery took place, and the infamous event space where Tasha Howard was physically assaulted and the whole ordeal involving Killa and the Gift of the Curse podcast, etc., right? During that time that he was in that building, he was actually already in working with Moses, with Michael Moses, the alleged, the owner of the Foster Avenue property. Okay, he actually started also paying rent before he ever even occupied the Foster Avenue property. Okay? So obviously, after the incident involving Tasha Howard and him being taken down to police and her being arrested and all of that good jazz, the owner of the storefront space that he initially was in went ahead and kicked his ass out because he just didn't need that drama being brought to his business. This left Criminal Head with a need for the continuation of his fellowship. Okay? Now, Whitehead and Michael Moses, the owner of the Glory of God Ministries building, went into a rent to own contract. Okay. Matter of fact, I think I have something here before we go any further. Okay. They went into a lease to own contract. Okay. Where Lamor was going to essentially buy the entire property. Okay. Now, in the addendum to the 5904 Foster Avenue Trust regarding Ladaya and Michael Moses, the trustee, Michael and Ladaya gave Whitehead permission to evict the current occupants of the 5904 Avenue building. Okay, as you guys can read here below. So as to assist Lamor Whitehead's purchase of the real property located at 5904 Foster Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, Lamor Whitehead is appointed to act as trustee of the 5904 Foster Avenue Trust with the following limited and restricted grant of authority solely to enable him to perform the following two acts. One, to secure financing for him to purchase the real property located at 5904 Foster Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. And two, to commence and pursue an appropriate legal proceeding in a court of competent jurisdiction, seeking a court order removing the current occupants of the real property located at 5904 Foster Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. Okay? So he was given permission to put out the glory of God. That's essentially what he did. Now, I have not. I'm not the person who has been like looking at everything around the glory of God, but I guess it does pose questions as to why were the glory of God members squatting in the building to begin with? Why were they not paying their lease? Why were they not paying their rent to begin with? I don't know whether this had anything to do with trying to recover from COVID-19, which I would assume not if they were renting out a alternative space that they had to be in while Whitehead occupied the building. So it doesn't seem as though they have issue paying rent. So I'm not really sure why they were actually squatting, but I'm sure that one of the things that appealed to Michael and Ladaya as it relates to doing business with Bishop was the obstacle regarding glory of God, squatting. And I'm sure that one of the things that appealed to Michael and Ladaya was the fact that probably in the interims of those conversations, Mr. Whitehead was like, don't worry about it. I'm going to take care of all of that. I'll get them out of this building. Trust me. I'll get them out of this building. So they formed a contract, gave them permission to evict the current occupants who were allegedly squatting. Now, according to New York laws, etc., New York is an extremely squatter-friendly state. Okay? Actually, squatters have more leverage and more law oriented to them than the actual owners and landlords do. So you can squat your motherfucking ass off in the state of New York. etc. Which essentially, depending on who you're talking to, is how Glory of God was kind of able to hold the space as long as they have been, despite the actual owner of the building that they are doing their ministry in being disgruntled and unhappy with their occupancy. So there's all that going on. Where Bishop Lamor Whitehead fucked up at is in that addendum. Michael and Ladaya give him permission to execute a legal eviction. My opinion, why they are suing him is because he did not that. He did not that. I don't care if you live in New York, Julia. I'm talking about lawyers who I know, who I've talked to about this case, who live in New York, okay? New York laws are very lenient when it comes to squatters, okay? From a lawyer perspective, okay? So that's that. Now, Bishop wrongfully evicted these people. He created a false deed according to Michael and Ladaya. Sure, that's extremely problematic because I don't think that Ladaya nor Michael give a fuck about the way he actually treated and really went about getting the Glory of God congregation out of the building. I think that was, and look, Latoya says, I'm from New York. That is a fact. So, look, depending on who you asking, okay? All I know is that all my lawyer friends, okay? Because my lawyer friends consider New York a very squatter-friendly state, okay? They all unanimously say that across the fucking board, okay? Now how civilians feel, that's on them, okay? But that's the unanimous vote across all of my lawyer niggas and bitches who I fuck with, okay? So nonetheless, Whitehead played his hand in a way that would scare anybody in business to him, because if it's true that you allegedly falsified documents just like he did regarding bank statements to get financing from his home and, you know, the superseded indictment and all of that shit, Michael and Ladaya will have to pull out just for that, because, my nigga, if you produced a fake deed and presented it to housing court and got all of this shit done, what else are you fucking doing with this fake deed? For one, what are you doing? And what are you going to continue to do unbeknownst to us, the head trustees of this Foster Avenue property? The suit also alleges that once Lamor occupied the space illegally, despite the fact that he did have a rent to own contract and agreement with Michael and Ladaya Moses, that he also stopped paying his motherfucking rent, just like he stopped payments on those invoices that Brian L. disbarred Ponder were submitting to him as well. So Ladaya and Michael went from allegedly one set of squatters to another fucking set of squatters, which is kind of genius and slick as hell, right? On Criminal Head's part, because now that he's in housing litigation with the Glory of God camp, and it gives him firsthand insight into how they were able to pussy pop and occupy this space while someone else paid the mortgage, aka Michael and Ladaya, and while someone else paid the fucking rent, which was him. So it only made sense for him to assimilate to doing the very same thing, because he's going broke any fucking way, hence the house being in foreclosure since last year, hence not being able to pay attorney fees, hence A, B, C, D, F, and G. So this became more ideal and more ideal and more ideal and more ideal for him. I'm going to be able to get these current squatters out at a time where I need a building, because I've been booted and evicted from the storefront that I ambushed Tasha and Killer at. But once I'm in this motherfucking building, I will then squat my ass off for a lifetime in this squatter-friendly state. And I give a fuck, because I'm a cold, callous, heartless motherfucker. Okay, yeah. So whether he paid not at all or didn't, or paid up until occupancy, he's being sued for non-payment for months on end and forge documents regarding a fake ass deed in order to push Glory of God out. And the only way I can imagine that the bishop felt comfortable doing that is because he thought that the trustees of the 50 of the Foster Avenue property were with it, because there's no way that a rent to own agreement came into play without Michael and Ladaya speaking to Criminal Head about the current issue at hand, which was, we already currently have occupants that are not allegedly paying rent, etc., that are squatting in the fucking building. And they probably got into a very pillow talk dialogue where Moses and Ladaya probably expressed a lot of frustration about the situation. Obviously, nobody would be happy in this situation. Who the fuck wants to rent out a home or lease a vehicle and not be getting paid, and you're still responsible for the payments? You're still responsible for any maintenance, etc., and somebody practically just living off your dime. So I'm sure they got Criminal Head and the Moses siblings got into a very detailed, deep discussion about it. And Criminal Head was like, don't worry about it. I got you. Because you know Criminal Head is known, right, for his charm, for his wit. You know, all of the New Yorker article was very clear about his ability to finesse, to make promises his black ass can't keep, etc. And of course, that was probably very soothing to the Moses siblings. However, the Moses siblings are not corrupted crooks. And even though Criminal Head was more than likely promising to be able to get the glory of God out, don't worry, it'll be of no cost to you. It's a thank you, if anything, to you. They thought he was going to go about that in a very legal, righteous way. After all, he's a man of God himself. But then he goes and produces a fake ass deed, and so now they're like, oh no, bitch, hold on, fuck, glory of God, bitch. You coming for the throne. This fake ass deed. I don't give a damn what the context is. Whether you generated one to get them out, but you have now also threatened our position as the actual owners. And we can't have that, boo-boo, because I don't know what you all trying to do. The plan wasn't for you to forge documents and illegally seize the property. The addendum makes it very clear that you are to go about that in a very legal way. A legal, lawful eviction. But now you don't produce a fake deed. What you trying to snatch this property from us too? You trying to scam us out of the property, boo-boo? What you trying to do here? What it is, ho? What's up? So rightfully fucking so. The Moses siblings got to deliver legally before this shit go any further, because now I'm sure they know more than what they did at the time that he was just a person of interest as it relates to being a potential buyer of the property. I'm sure they've deepened their research into his criminal history and to his current charges and litigations against the United States government. So now they know they're dealing with a motherfucker who actually is about that entire scheme, fraud, life, allegedly. So they know that this is now somebody who's capable of pushing the envelope. And I'm sure when they read the current superseded indictments regarding the forged paperwork at the banks, mock bank accounts, attempts to misrepresent himself as it relates to achieving loans and property financing, that they got real shook when they came to understand that this man forged an entire fucking deed. And on top of forging a deed, he's allegedly also not even making any payments at the Foster Avenue property. But producing that fake ass deed has been obviously interpreted as a threat to Ladaya and Michael Moses' position. Which means that this got to come to an end before it ever begins. Okay? Now, Ladaya and Michael still left with their original issue. Hey, Gift and the Curse podcast. Hey, boo. They still left with their original headache and thorn in their ass, which is the glory of God occupants themselves, which I'm really just don't understand. I don't understand why glory of God have been squatting. I don't understand why, if they could afford to rent out an alternative space over the past few months, that Whitehead was an occupant at the Foster Avenue property, why they not paying them their rent at the Foster Avenue property. I don't understand why they would even want to go back to the property, especially now after knowing what we all know, that the owner had went into alleged contract and business exchange with Whitehead before Whitehead even had lost the storefront that he was at. And then after being kicked out, being railroaded, I'm curious to know what the actual attachment is to a building that they don't own to begin with. Because to be honest, I would have let that shit go. All the more reason I'm not even paying fucking rent at the property I'm fighting to be restored at. So what's the dealio? There's something's not right in the buttermilk as it relates to the glory of God as well. I'm not sure, even though Bishop Whitehead doesn't deserve to be there, I can't also safely, I can't confidently congratulate the glory of God people as well, because they've been allegedly taking advantage of this man's property and putting him in a fucked up position to have an asset that he can't even make any money off of because of all of this mess. Yeah, tenants, they will stop payments, just like the tenants at Bishop's housing complex in Connecticut or wherever the Jeffrey Dahmer estates are located, girl. They haven't been making payments either for almost a year. Some of them have been paying directly to the banks and not actually paying directly to Whitehead, because of the conditions, etc. But you would think the way that Gloria God is fighting for this property that they are very happy with the property, because who the fuck is going to fight for some raggedy shit? Who's going to put the fight that Gloria God? I mean, they done been in housing court, girl. They done been fighting with this man. They done been willing to take bullets to get back into this property, girl. Squaring off with NYPD. So it doesn't seem that they are the most disgruntled of tenants, because no tenant fights hard for a trap house. No tenant is going to do that, especially if you also have the resources and the means to worship elsewhere. So I'm curious to know, what is the attachment to the Foster Avenue property? Obviously, this is a building worth damn fighting for, as you got two entities going head to head for it. You got Criminal Head and the Glory of God folk swinging and banging it out. And then, allegedly, to make matters worse, the housing court ruled in both favors of Whitehead and Glory of God and granted them both right to occupancy, which made it even worse. So Whitehead just went ahead and packed up his shit and got the fuck on, because he already knew that was going to be a fucking issue, with both him and the opposing entities both having legal right to occupancy at the building. He also knew it was going to be no way in hell. I just said I don't understand everything because I have not been keeping up with this story. So I'm not somebody who's been following every little fucking detail of the Glory of God situation. But let me drop the link. You guys are here. Fill me in. For all of you who have seen every video, you've watched every interview, you've read every line, you've interpreted every verse. There's the link for you guys to come up and fill it in. Because the paperwork It's paperworking. And I just think this shit is wow. So why would both parties have occupancy? And I wonder if some of that fake ass forged paperwork is what the courts are analyzing and making a ruling off of, because the deed isn't even real according to Michael and Ladaya Moses. No, there is a lease to agreement because I saw it. Now, whether it's authentic or not, we are talking about a forger and a liar. Then, it might be a forged agreement, etc. But there is a physical rent to purchase agreement. Oh, yes. And guess what? The lawsuit isn't even stating that that's not the case. The lawsuit is stating the fact that the deed is fake and this man was not making payments. Well, how can they sue him for payments if he wasn't in a legal contract with them to some extent? So there has been a contract of some kind between the trustees and Whitehead for them to be afforded money and to cite his lack of payment and fulfillment of particular invoices. Oh, I dropped the link. Nobody can come up and fill in more of the context of what the of what the situation is. The link is dropped. Yeah, I know about the damage and the knocked out wall, which I'm going to show you guys that as well. But according to the articles as well, they're suing for rent unpaid. So seems to be a very convoluted ass situation to me. Child, y'all grating cheese, y'all working, but y'all got time to be keeping up with my commentary and to be typing in this damn chat. But everybody is just so occupied that they can't click a StreamYard link and just talk. But y'all got the resources to be so occupied that they. Hey Patricia, I think you have a background, boo. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, welcome to the platform, Patricia, and thank you for your Cash App.
You're welcome, always.
So what's going on? What do you know about the glory of God, criminal head, debauchery, and the lawsuit regarding the trustees and criminal head?
Well, I've been following Pam, so all I know is that Gloria God has been paying their. They were told to stop paying the lease because of I guess something with Michael Mosley. So that's
Mm-hmm.
why they was able to um, put money aside in the safe so that they can come back when everything was settled and continue to pay. They were not leeching off of Michael Mosley because they had money put aside. So that's what I was hearing.
Okay. Okay, but you're not sure exactly what the situation was between the Moses and Gloria God, but it was just something that happened that made them stop or delay
I,
payment.
yes, I'm not exactly 100% sure. All I know, Pam was saying that they were paying, but something happened with Michael Mosley and Gloria God, so they did put money
Mhm.
aside in the safe, but I don't know.
Okay.
Supposedly
Hold on for
their
1 minute
money
more.
came up missing.
Uh, Hold on for one
Supposedly
minute more.
criminal had stole their
Hold
money.
on for 1 minute more. Hold on for a second. M. Bradley, I am a 37-year-old grown ass man who has produced quite an incredible platform. Okay. What you absolutely don't get to tell a bitch this old to do is what the fuck to do. So, what I will actually give you permission to do is exist on Block Nation, okay? Because you don't issue out no motherfucking feedback advice to me unless I ask you for it, bitch. I will comment and bitch, I'll stay on this bitch for 2-3 hours, okay, and indulge in line by line of this motherfucking story against your entire fucking will. Okay, what you need to do, if you have information that I don't have, is hit the link like all these other wonderful panelists have fucking done, rather than sit your dry, decrepit, pussy having ass in the comment section and tell me what the fuck to do. Okay, so moderator, send this bitch to Block Nation and give her her paperback lunch and secure her eternal fate right on over there. Okay, go ahead, Miss Moore.
Oh yeah, she right. One of someone in your comments did say it was a tax
Uh, mm-hmm.
issue. She was right. Thank you, whoever.
Because see, I listen to, I watch a lot of I watch a lot of content creators, but particularly I watch a lot of lawyers on YouTube who have been speaking about the Gloria God situation. So I don't just extrapolate my perspective nor my information from just one particular source. There's all type of trained personnel on YouTube. Matter of fact, I'm going to give y'all her name. She herself as well is a 20-year attorney at law, and she has a YouTube channel, and she's been covering the Whitehead phenomenon, and she has been producing the receipts upon the receipts as well, and speaking about it from a legal perspective. So, hold on, what's her name? Her name is, hold on, I gotta go in my history because she's somewhere. Oh,
Baby daddy,
He is
can
so
you hear
fine.
me?
her name is Professor Blackmore. Okay, she's
Oh
another
yes, I
yeah,
follow
her.
her.
Yeah, she also had broke down this case as well and went through it line by line as well. And she kind of got into a tiff a little bit in her own comment section with people. I guess people who really can't stand Lamar. And she was saying, "Look, I'm not here to be biased. I
Yeah,
don't
I was one of them.
necessarily, yeah,
Conscious.
like I don't have an investment in whether he's a good person or not. The law is the law. Right is right. Wrong is wrong, and it is what the fuck it is. Okay, like she's not here to necessarily push any attitude about him. But let me show folk this page before we go on, and then I'll let you guys continue to this is her. She's an attorney as well. She has
Yeah.
7,000 subscribers, and she talks about how to evict a squatter. And matter of fact, and she goes here, honey, and she, like I said, she goes line by line. She got all the paperwork, all the signatures, all the checks, all the like, she gets in that shit. Okay, and I think this is the comment right here that she was dealing with. It says, squatter or not, Bishop Lamor improperly evicted them. Make sure to add that to your video. I don't know where these people think they are coming on telling people like what the fuck to do and how the fuck to exist and how the fuck to show up on their damn platform and shit. But make sure to add that to your
That
video
fucking
every
part.
time you repeat this information. This is the real reason he's on court. She says, it seems to me that he properly evicted them since it worked. That's what I'm going to repeat. And then she goes on and says, and the people who can't stand the man are not biased because somebody said you're biased. And she said the people who can't stand him are not biased, question mark. I'm going to tell the truth on here, whether y'all like it or not. That's what I'm biased about. Then she goes on to address somebody saying Whitehead squatting work from this month to that month, but no longer. I bet good money he will never occupy the space again. And then she goes on to say, ma'am, Bishop Whitehead is not squatting because he is in a lease to buy agreement with the owner of the property. She also shows that lease agreement who gave Bishop Whitehead authority to remove the true squatter, blah, 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 blah. So all of that. So there are a few larger content creators who report on him too, but there's a lot of smaller content creators who also report on this, who are also professionals in the field as well. But more continue, and then I'm gonna get Kella and Julia in this bitch. Or were you done for the moment?
I'm done for the moment.
Okay, boo. Well, stick around. Killer.
Okay.
You over there chopping down cheese and shit. What's going on?
Is this thing
Oh,
I
it's
was trying to
definitely
give you
on,
a
honey.
mic check. Yes, I'm grating cheese, beloved. I'm making dinner for someone very special to me because it's their birthday. So, but you know, I fuck with you the long way, so I just had to come up. I felt like nobody was hitting the link, and I was confused as to what you don't get. Cause
well, I don't know what I don't get because it was other random hoes making statements in the chat, so I was like, I don't know what.
Yeah,
so I don't
and I
know.
was trying to ignore them. I'm glad you got them together because they're fucking annoying.
So what do you understand, Keller, about the dynamics between Glory of God and the trustee and
well, you
White?
know, I went over that documentation back in December. The long and short of it is obviously what everybody knows, right? He was given limited responsibilities to kick the church out. He was labeled as sorry, I got a house full, child, literally. And I'm running late behind.
Jesus.
Yeah, listen. He was given that limited duty to get the church out allegedly and to gain financing to purchase the church. He did neither, right? Then he falsified the documents to keep hold of the church. You know what I'm saying? So hold on.
Okay, well. This is what a midday reporting does, baby. We catch everybody in their fucking midday. While we waiting on Killer, Julia, welcome to the platform. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, boo. So what's going on? What do you understand about the going on of Glory of God and Whitehead and housing court, etc.?
All right. So what I read in the beginning was Glory of God had ownership of the building. It was supposed to be tax exempt because it's a church. So they were not paying taxes. So the building went up for auction because of that. That's how the what is his last name? Michael. Yes, that's how he was able to purchase the building on auction because they weren't paying taxes. So once that happened, and they got word that the building was now, owned by someone else, they were entering legal action with the trust because they're saying, well, we thought we had tax exempt status because we were a church. So that's why we weren't paying taxes. So that's why their attorney informed them to not pay rent to the trust. They weren't paying rent, but they were saving it up because legally in New York, you can't withhold rent. Only a judge is allowed in housing court to tell you to withhold rent. So if you go to court, the judge is going to ask, well, why haven't you been paying rent? You're going to have to produce that rent. So apparently they said allegedly they were saving that money for the upcoming court situation with the trust. Here enters Whitehead. Now we're all speaking about.
Well, can I just say something? Because Conscious, this is where I get stuck at. Because allegedly they were holding the funds in the church, and now they're claiming that Whitehead stole the money. And my thing is this: why are you holding those funds, that type of money, in the church and not in the bank?
I mean, that's whether they were. If it was the money for The church, if it was the money for the rent, that's a legitimate question. Unfortunately, they had money in the safe. So then in comes Whitehead because he's a blood
Allegedly.
sucking tick. Yeah, because we can't really say whether or not there was money. They're saying it was money, but no one really knows if there was actually money. Just because they're saying it doesn't mean it's true. But anyway, here comes Whitehead with the trust, and he says, "Well, I see you bought this building on auction because perhaps he's a real estate guy, so perhaps he was following these auctions, and he said you bought this building on auction. Whatever he presented to them, the two in the trust said, okay, so we have these people in the building, just like you were saying, Conscious. He
Mhm.
probably, they probably were pillow talking. They haven't been paying any rent. X, Y, and Z. We'll give you limited ability in the trust. So we'll make you a limited trustee and where you can evict them while you're securing financing to purchase this building for $1.9 million. So Whitehead allegedly went and changed the locks. Now, whether he had NYPD with him, the pastor over there, Gloria God, said he got an alert from the alarm system, and so he went over there and found at that time that the locks were changed, and so now here goes all of this that we're now discussing, now. So that's what got the ball rolling.
Okay, so does anybody here believe? Be woke. I see you in the background, but it says that your device is not connecting, love. Um,
You
Rico.
got him, but you ain't biting because he ain't.
Okay, so
I
I don't.
hope.
We got a lot going on. It sounds like a lot of domestic violence is happening. I'm not really sure what's going on. But
You gotta relax.
does it, does anybody does anybody here um so does everybody here believe that there so I'm so in trying to read the room, does everybody believe that there was a business relationship going on between Moses and Whitehead? That
Yes,
I
that's
because
do.
that's
what it
what
states.
Moses
Okay.
stated. Moses stated that much in the court documents. In his recent
Yeah.
filing with the lawsuit, he stated as much. He said, "We entered an agreement where Whitehead would perform the limited duty as a trustee. He would evict them legally while securing financing to buy this building because they had agreed to that." So absolutely, because that's what he said. He spoke to that in the filing.
Now, why do y'all believe Moses did it the way he did it? Because there are some people who don't believe that the glory of God were squatting.
I don't believe they were squatting at all.
So why do y'all think Moses? Because it seemed like Moses went behind the glory of God. I mean, backs, if you will, and did kind of this back deal with Whitehead, who was then allowed to do whatever he needed to do to get glory of God, to separate glory of God from the property.
Well, it may have been a fast one he was trying to pull by selling it to Whitehead because he bought it at auction. But here goes Gloria God saying, wait a minute, we're a church and we're supposed to be tax exempt. So now here comes this long legal battle that they will then have to pay for, possibly because Gloria God is arguing we're supposed to be tax exempt, so we should not have had to pay taxes. That throws in a whole other wrench in his game. So maybe he was trying to rid himself of the building and all of the upcoming litigation that would have been happening concerning the property with Glory of God.
My personal opinion on it,
Mhm.
I feel like reason why he was trying to get rid of the building and sell it to Whitehead is because Gloria God has been paying their lease with them, because it doesn't make sense. They feeding 200 families every what, Saturday or
Yeah.
whatever. So why
Hmm.
wouldn't they not pay their rent? So it didn't make any sense. But when Pam broke it down, I got that. To me, I feel like that Gloria God was paying their rent to Moses, Michael Moses, and he wasn't paying the mortgage on the property. So he had to try to get rid of it as fast as he can so he could get it from up under his name. And through tried to illegally evict Gloria God out of their church. That's how I'm taking it. That's how I'm looking at it. I could be wrong, but that's how it looks.
It's a lot going on.
Yes, it just looked
That's a
messy.
lot. That's layers of fuck shit. So
Yeah.
wait,
Absolutely.
so does anybody know? So is Gloria got interested in being renters or owners of the property?
They supposed to be
They were supposed
owning
to
the
be the
property.
owners. So I think that their fight was only supposed to be with Moses. However, they have a secondary issue that they have to
God.
handle first because of how Whitehead handled the situation with him. And now Moses has the situation with Whitehead because he feel like the man is trying to steal the building from under him without having paid any money.
Why do y'all think the judge granted mutual occupancy, allowing both parties to indulge the property?
I can't. I'm sorry. I can't speak to the mutual occupancy because I didn't read that. So maybe that's current. That's new in new developments. But I know initially they granted the building back to Glory of God because of the illegal eviction. Whitehead took himself to bankruptcy court and filed bankruptcy because once you file bankruptcy, all of your assets, then anything that's up for collection or anything like that, now it all stops. So you have a stay. So him filing for bankruptcy gave him a stay in the property where the housing court said he had to give them back the property because the eviction was illegal. So in terms of them having dual occupancy, I don't know about that because last I saw, the building was returned back to Glory of God and Whitehead had to get his stuff and go.
Yes, yes, and she's speaking correctly because um he was angry because they
Wait,
wanted
so
him
so
he wanted to get his stuff, but from what I was hearing, as he was getting his stuff, he was stealing their stuff as well. So I wouldn't understand why the courts will give them joint occupancy on the property when that you could totally see they don't get along.
what it was Pam who told me that there is mutual occupancy granted.
Okay.
Mm,
So
I didn't
I,
hear
Yeah, I didn't.
so that's
Last
why
I
I'm
read, I
asking
didn't hear that.
that.
I didn't hear that. I didn't.
That's why I was saying in my commentary, whatever what she told to me. I was saying in my commentary that with that being the case, if that's the case, then
That wouldn't make any sense because all the
he really.
illegal, false documents that he was.
Well, that's why I said
Um.
earlier in my commentary, I don't know if the court who because did the courts even. I don't even know if the courts even know some of the paperwork is fraud because we only know that it's fraud according to Michael Moses. Michael and Ladaya in their lawsuit are saying this is a fraudulent deed, but that was never something that was per se vetted by the courts.
Yeah,
But
it
They
hasn't
haven't
been
figured
because
that
it's been
out yet.
caught.
yeah,
That's
Yeah.
they
why they
haven't
are
figured that
both
part out
allowed.
yet.
They have to
So
work all of that out.
yeah,
That's why
so
they're
there's
both allowed to be there.
right. So that's why I was like, well, that would make sense then for them to have mutual occupancy. But if that's the case, then he he technically didn't really have to leave, but it was obviously in his best interest to do so
His
because
ugly ass needed to
it was
leave.
just going to be an ugly ass
Well,
situation.
well, well. Here's the thing. So the cops were there. The first time Gloria God went and they changed the locks, Whitehead was on the scene. The cops were there, but then Whitehead came back a second time with the police to gather the remainder of his things. So if he had paperwork at that time to show that he had joint occupancy, he would not have needed to leave at that time. So that's what makes me question the joint occupancy thing. Again, I don't know
But
because
I'm
we haven't.
thinking, who the fuck is going to stay
Right,
when the situation is that hostile to begin with? Like somebody was
right.
going to say
And
clearly somebody gonna get their ass whooped
and,
between
and that
both of
also
us.
goes to the glory of God, right? Because this man, he was puffing up his chest to everybody and what you going to do, and acting all violent and everything. So I would think that they would be like, you know what, we just going to keep renting the space that we was renting if it was a joint occupancy thing. So I don't know how true the joint occupancy is, because it seems, um, given how he was acting and his attitude, I'm not sure Gloria God would have stayed there. And they changed the locks. I don't think
I think
Whitehead
they
had
would
the
have
key.
stayed there.
Yeah.
I think he wouldn't have stayed there because um he was allowed to be there because whoever is text, I don't have this number stored in my phone. Hold on. He was allowed. Hold on. What the hell did you just say again? I'm sorry.
In terms of him being, him acting, like he wanted to fight
Oh,
everybody. I would think that if they had joint
okay,
occupancy,
got it.
he doesn't seem like somebody that would back down if they had joint occupancy. Actually, it
But
seems like he would be
Okay.
as disruptive as he could be.
So
my thing. Okay.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, why would it be fair for Gloria God to leave when they were the original owners and they've been occupying this church for way before Whitehead even thought about um buying the church?
Mhm.
So he should have left anyway, like out of respect, because he only had two members. They To me, Gloria God was really, they had a congregation, they have a huge following, and they also were helping the people. So that space, maybe that space meant something to them, and they've been occupying it for a long time now. So they shouldn't have to leave. Whitehead should be the one that's leaving, because he don't have no members and he's full of crap, and we all know he's a con artist crook.
See, and this is exactly why I did not touch on the glory of God. People are confused about why there's withhold the rent, even with the taxes. There's never an occasion to withhold rent, but apparently there is. And then there's lawyers, and there's paperwork, and there's fraudulent paperwork, and there's judgments, and there's statements made by police that are not made by the judge. Judges made statements made by the judge that are not made by the fucking police.
Mm-hmm.
And who ain't got time to be piling through the tangled web of Gloria God and Moses and Ladaya, Michael and
Criminal head.
Whitehead is this bitch here. So what happens now? What's the outcome? Because now Gloria God is suing him and trustees are suing him. What do I think the outcome is going to be?
Well,
All of,
first, glory of God and Moses have to deal with Whitehead, and then they will have to deal with each other, because Moses still owns that building, within that trust. So these are separate issues. So first, it's going to be the issue with Whitehead, and I think once they clear those up, then glory of God and Moses have to find some common ground on what they're going to do about that building. I mean, um, Gloria God doesn't have that much legal standing, I would assume, because how do you not know that there are tax bills coming to the address? I would think that the church is the address where the mail goes. So, you know, they're gonna have a hard time saying that I didn't, because not knowing is not really a legal defense.
But wait a minute. Why would Gloria God have to even pay taxes if they just leasing the building? Wouldn't that be on Michael Mosley or whatever his name is,
Well,
to
no,
pay the
no,
taxes on the building?
no.
Because he's the
Moses
legal owner, right?
No, Moses was able to buy the building that Gloria God is in because the taxes were not being paid. And Gloria God argued, in terms of with Moses, that they were unaware they had to pay taxes because they were under the impression that the church was tax exempt. And that's a matter of paperwork. You have a church, you have to file it legally you have to file your church legally with the state so it can be under tax exempt status. And apparently that didn't happen if they were getting tax bills. So Moses is he's not on the hook for any taxes at the time of purchase. Everything after the time of purchase, those are his taxes. But anything before, those belong to Glory of God. That's why that building was lost.
So to be clear,
this is confusing.
Gloria got look, I've been confused. I've been confused for months, which is why I haven't even this whole like building situation is like a side commentary to the lawsuit against his ass, because that's really what I came to speak on. But it's funny because even the lawyers kind of like are disagreeing about the way they're interpreting the case, because Pam has an interpretation of what has happened by way of the paperwork provided, and then the other lawyer that I was telling you about, and there's like two more others who also have varying interpretations. It's almost like you're studying from like three different scholars who have like interpretations of the scriptures and different contexts and ways in which they are like interpreting these events and what they look like, because all the information that I was speaking to and speaking about in my commentary literally came from other lawyers,
right,
including Pam. So it was like a mixture of everybody's shit in one.
Yeah, it's a big old mess. That's what it is, to be honest. It is. It's a huge mess because I'm thinking that if Gloria God was leasing the place, if they just leasing it, the taxes should be on the owner, which is Michael Mosley. But I don't know.
He wasn't the owner. He wasn't the owner of the building initially. I believe Glory of God was, and they
No, no,
lost
no,
it.
no, 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 no. No, he was the owner of the building.
Okay, so the issue Gloria God had was not about rent initially. It was about them supposed to have been exempt and not paying the taxes. Now, if Mosley was the owner in the beginning, well, you're absolutely right. They are not responsible for the property taxes. So that would be on him. But Mosley could not have been. Listen, you can't lose your house because you can't lose your building because you weren't paying property taxes and buy it at auction. So
Conscious,
he
can I just
owned,
let you know that every documentation I have on this building regarding deeds or anything, even the tax records down to the liens on it, has Michael Moses' name on it. No one else's.
and from what date? Because if they're dated prior to the trust buying the building, the one thing I could think of is, okay, say he owned the building. This would be just as slick as Whitehead, right? They must be both slithering in the grass. If he owned it under his name and then lost it through tax exempt status, but then had his sister or somebody purchase it underneath the trust. Once you put buildings, homes, and things under trust and LLC, there's no personal liability to you. So that's the only thing I could see having happened.
That's exactly what's been happening. They flip properties back and forth to
Right.
each other. They
So
can't gain financing for one property. They'll put it in another person's name briefly so the person can tell the bank,
yes,
look, I have the
yes.
financing. I have the money for this, blase, blip. Everybody in the situation, in my opinion, is a little crooked. You know what I mean?
You're probably absolutely right. If before the purchase of the property, and I'm gonna say maybe it was 2020 or 2019 that Moses allegedly purchased the property. If there are records before that purchase date that he owned that property, then there's another conversation. But that would be who's looking at the deeds
Okay,
before
y'all.
the alleged purchase.
Shit. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Hold on.
Conscious, I'll send you all of the documentation that I have.
Okay.
I'll get that to you. I'm
Yeah,
about to get up off of here so I can get these
okay,
ribs in the
boo.
oven. I love you.
I love you too, love. That
All
was the
right.
Gift and the Curse podcast. You guys, please make sure to subscribe to my girl. I'll post her link
I'm gonna subscribe to her.
in the chat. I got y'all keep talking. I'm trying to figure some shit out super quick.
To me, I feel like Glory of God is not crooked. I feel like with Moses and Whitehead, they were doing something really, really crooked. I think Glory of God just got stuck in the middle of this and they really don't know. Because to be honest, they foreigners and you know, they're not from here. So, they don't really know how, we move, how it's done here, in the US. So I really feel like it's not them. I really feel like it's Whitehead and Michael Moses. I feel like them two, they are some crooks because it's just shady business because he gave Whitehead supposedly limited trustee, but Whitehead went and filed bankruptcy on a place he didn't even own and threw them out of their church for 5 months. And they had to rent a space. That don't make any sense. Why would they rent a space when they were there and paying for their space that they've been in for, I don't at least a couple of years, since 2014. So it's not adding up. I don't think it's glory of God at all. I really believe it's Whitehead and Moses. That's who I believe that are the crooks in this situation.
So it seemed like the general consensus is that the glory of God are caught dead in the middle, that they are kind of casualties of war.
Yes.
Right.
I don't really think so. I don't
Okay,
think
so you don't
they're
think that,
casualties.
Julia?
No,
No.
I don't
So
think
what
they're
do you
casualties.
think then?
You know, I I would have to see further because the question for me is who owned the building? Who owned the building prior to Moses buying it at auction, right? I was under the impression that Gloria God owned the building, which was supposed to be tax exempt, but it wasn't, and they were failing to pay taxes. Because I don't believe you could buy a building that you already own. However, it is true. You can have somebody else buy it. You could put it in an LLC. You could put it in trust. You could do a lot of things. But that building was lost back to the city because of non-payment of taxes. So regardless of who bought it, somebody lost it. So that's what I would want to see. But if Gloria God owned that building and they were not paying taxes, for me, not knowing is not an excuse because how do you not know that you owe taxes on a building? They send notice.
But that's the
And you
thing.
have to owe taxes for a long time before they take your property and sell it up to auction. And you also have notice of that. You have notice that your property is going up for auction. So if they didn't, the only way they wouldn't know is if they didn't own the building. So who was the owner of the building that they lost? And
Michael Moses was the owner of the building. He has been the owner of the
that is
building.
that is that is not what it seems because he bought it at auction. He bought it
Correct.
at auction and put it in his family's trust. So you can't say before everything happened with Whitehead, before it was bought at auction, Moses owned the building. I just don't I don't
Gloria God was not the original. They weren't the
okay.
owner for
So
sure.
so the question is then if it was lost, who was the owner? Why were they saying that they didn't know? Because there's a lot of questions. It said that Gloria God was paying rent to Moses, or were they paying rent to someone else? Were they paying rent to someone else and they thought that person was paying the bills for the church? So the whole story is extremely convoluted.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm having a conversation from behind
yeah.
in regards to some of the information, because some of it is not clear on who the original owner of that building of that
Because
property
a
was.
singularity, because like a singularity had just said, the property was a garage that Gloria God turned into an edifice. It is now, and they wouldn't have been able to do so without being
Without
an
ownership.
owner. But then at the same
Absolutely.
time, they wouldn't have been able to put out of a fucking building they own as
if they
well.
had paid
And
the
like
taxes.
the killer said, why is Michael Moses's name the only name that's on all of the paperwork? It's not Gloria God.
It's
His name's
it's
on the deed,
Exactly.
his
That's
name
what
is
I'm
on
saying.
the
Well,
tax, his name is on everything.
well,
So
Gloria
listen,
God is not the owner.
it depends on what they see. Deeds are filed, right? For every property, deeds are filed at the time of ownership. So if killer is only looking for from the time that the deed was filed for ownership for Moses, that's all you're gonna see. You have to
correct.
back with this property and see who owned it. So if her dates are only from the sale, from the purchase at auction, of course all of the paperwork is going to say Moses because he bought it at that day on the auction block. So the
So
question is,
back
who
to
owns it before that day? And that's where, the answer is. If you're just looking for a deed that says Moses, Moses, Moses from the time he bought it, of course you're going to see Moses.
But here's the thing, we're not worried about who had it before. That's not the case here. We worrying about who bought it now when Gloria God was in the building. That's who we are
Moses
talking
bought it.
about.
Moses bought the building.
Exactly. So that means Gloria Moses should have been responsible for the taxes on the
No,
building,
no, 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 no,
not
no.
Gloria
No.
The
God.
taxes, you're not understanding.
Oh
The
my.
issue is that you're not understanding.
I'm
Moses isn't
understanding very well,
okay.
ma'am.
Well, if you are understanding, Moses is responsible for the taxes. He bought the building because of non-payment of taxes from the Glory of
let,
God building. So he's not
let me
responsible for any.
hold on for 1 second, Boo.
She's
So
confused. Never.
hold
She's
on,
confused.
um, hold on for a minute. So there's somebody who's giving me there's somebody texting one of my phones. I have an iPhone, so I have no idea how iPhones work. I haven't even put service on this iPhone, so I don't even know how the fuck somebody is messaging
I have
me.
a new one too, and I'm lost. So I
But
understand.
how is somebody texting me on a phone I don't have service on?
Because with iPhones, if your phone is connected to Wi-Fi, they can iMessage you.
Okay, so I'm getting an iMessage allegedly.
Mhm.
Okay, okay. Thank you for the iPhone 101. Okay, so I want to say this. I don't know who this is. They're giving me. I'm just going to read the messages. It says Whitehead was allowed to be there to gather his belongings. We all knew if the judge granted both him and GOG to be there, Whitehead would not have left. I don't agree with that. I think he would have left. Then they said that he was at my church. Because I keep asking this person who they are, they refuse to identify themselves, which is why they are about to enter Block Nation as well. But they said he was at my church in NY twice last week. Unfortunately, we are a large ministry with a well-known pastor who couldn't penetrate. He's just walking around seeking who he can devour or what building he can claim unlawfully. NY landlord tenant laws are very different, and whoever is owning or renting and is in a sensitive position, they are vulnerable like GOG. Look at ACRIS to see ownership history. So I assume that
That's
ACRIS is a
probably,
website.
yeah, that records all deed transfers.
Okay, so that's where that information regarding who owned it before Moses did would be, for those who are interested in finding that out. But everybody is still confused here. Well, I mean,
I'm not
Pam is
confused.
confused. I
Yeah,
don't even
I'm
know
not.
what's
I,
going
I'm
I'm
on.
not
not confused.
confused.
Okay.
You're confused on if Moses owned the building, then why would Gloria God be on the hook for the taxes? Because Moses didn't own the building when the taxes became owed. So when the taxes were owed, the whole time the taxes were owed, Moses didn't own the building. He bought the building.
And neither did Gloria God.
Well,
Glory of
so
God had a mortgage.
so
Okay,
then
can I can I
Moses owned it.
can I just jump in real quick because I only want to just answer some of the questions that you
Yeah.
guys are left without answers.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
Gloria God did not initially own the property when they occupied it. They were renting to own, just like this agreement with Mosley and Greasy Lips. Um, the person that they were renting to own from, this company, organization, group, whatever, those individuals were not paying the taxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
To which they did some grimy, underhanded stuff because she had the documents and she broke it down. She said it was very distorted. Okay, that person, whoever they were, they gave the property to someone else. I don't know if it was a financial transaction, some underhanded, I'm about to lose the property, so I'll put it in someone else's name type thing or whatever. But that is what happened with these people that they now had to pay. Listen, please listen, because I've been listening to everybody for the longest. The people that then acquired the property, glory to God, kept paying them. They kept doing what they were supposed to do. They kept making their payments. To which, at some point, ownership was turned over to glory of God. But in the process to them getting ownership, which there was never anything because it wasn't legal. So there was nothing, and glory of God didn't know that. There was nothing, no paperwork. Now we don't know because glory of God from this whole time, they've never presented any paperwork to the public, any bloggers or anything to show. So everything that Pam and them we've seen has come from what's been submitted to the courts. But because it's a whole nother situation, legal matter and issue, we haven't seen anything to show outside of what Pam showed us. We haven't seen anything to show how Gloria God was allegedly given ownership, how they obtained the ownership, because immediately they thought that, they were paying the people. They were still paying the people. That's what happened. They were still paying the people conscious that was supposed to be the owners, and the property went into foreclosure. Because of the taxes not being paid. Glory to God, thinking now that they own the property. They didn't know nothing about taxes because taxes never came to them. They're thinking they owned the property, and then they were informed by their attorney somehow or whomever, and they spoke with their attorney. They found out they didn't own the property. The property was in foreclosure. And that's when the attorney advised them not to make any further payments to the people, because they were still paying to whoever lost the property. And the attorney told them, do not pay anything till we find out who's the owners and we get this matter resolved.
She's right.
Now, there was allegedly an assumption. I don't know if there was paperwork or anything to prove this, but there was some alleged, or let's just say some thoughts that Mosley, because from the paperwork that they were able to obtain, Mosley name was on everything. So what they're trying to assume, people are assuming, is that Mosley, whoever this other company was, Mosley was in cahoots with them somehow. And that's the reason why he and his sister were able to snatch the, get the property so fast from the auction, because they already knew about it prior to it going up for auction. They knew that the property had been lost. You understand what I'm saying?
Hold on for a minute, Brandon. Brandon.
Yeah, I'm here.
Welcome to the platform, sir. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
I am awesome. Your commentary.
So first I would like to let the young lady finish what she was saying, but it's along the lines of where she was going. So I want to let her finish, and then I'll jump back in if that's all right.
Okay.
Well, no. That's all I wanted to say, because I've been following it, but it is so distorted because it's like a legal matter on top of, like they said, Gloria God actually did get caught in the middle of something that really is not of their fault and their error, but it is something that just happened, and Greasy Lips fell upon it somehow. I don't know if it's through his connections or whatever, through the mayor office or whatever, but he found out about it. And it was a perfect opportunity, because at the end of the day, keeping it 100, I don't agree with what he did, but at the end of the day, he didn't do, up until the point he falsified documents, he didn't do anything illegal in trying to obtain it initially. So I can't blame him for going after the property, but just how he went about it, you know what I mean? Which I'm not surprised, because everything he does in the end comes from some point of like criminality, but his him initially going after the property, wasn't illegal or whatever the case may be, because in fact, they did not own the property. They never really owned the property.
The eviction was. So from the point of eviction, yeah, that's what started his illegal activity. But him wanting to build it initially, no, that wasn't an illegal matter.
So that's all I want to say. I'm going back in the bushes.
Okay, thank you for that breakdown. That was very cohesive.
Right. It
Moving
seemed
pieces.
to tie everything together because it seemed like there was a missing piece the whole time.
Okay, Brandon.
Yeah, so this is all a clusterfuck. But the bit of information that I was missing was where the remaining taxes came from, and my assumption, even though it's come together in different pieces, my assumption was that whenever the owner procured the building, it already had taxes owed on it. When Gloria God was paying who they were supposed to pay, that person wasn't taking care of their portion of the
That's what I
taxes.
said.
So it all trickled down to Glory of God, which I believe Pam said, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. But Glory of God's attorney was the one who told them to stop paying until he could figure out the tax issue. In the interim is
Ooh,
when
boy, that box.
Whitehead came in and
It's Gloria
started
God.
his paperwork, which is where the other lane came from, if I'm to understand it correctly.
Fine.
I think that you just cluster fuck the panel when I enlarged your photo, Brandon. So you might have to you might have to repeat everything that you just said. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Shit. Right. So the whole moral of my story was the reason that Gloria God stopped paying and ended up putting their payments and or savings or money in the envelopes in the safe and or an escrow was because their attorney told them that it was originally something going on with the taxes, which was preventing them from taking full ownership of the building. So that's why they initially stopped making payments. That's the
Right.
way I understood it.
Okay, but
Right.
they were making payments to another entity regarding their rent to own situation.
Ah, okay. Okay.
I just heard it was Michael Mosley. That's it.
Well, it really couldn't have been if he was able to buy it. It sounds more feasible that there was some other entity at play that they were paying, because it couldn't have been to the mortgage company, because if it was a mortgage company, they certainly would have known that that building was up for foreclosure. It had to be
Well,
someone
if
who
they
was
were under a rent to own or a lease to own, then I don't know about them having the mortgage or not, but let's work under the assumption that they didn't. If they
right.
didn't and they still had the agreement for lease to own, then the title owner on that deed, whomever it may have been, is still legally the owner of that building
Yes,
until the contract is satisfied.
yes, absolutely.
So that would mean that
So
Gloria
again,
God wouldn't have to pay the taxes, right?
that's exactly what that would
Correct.
mean, is that they are not liable for those taxes. But it wasn't.
That's what I
It,
was
it could
saying.
not have. It could not have been Moses because he bought the building because of delinquent taxes. So there is another entity that Gloria
But
God probably had business with.
Well, here's
okay,
another monkey wrench in the gears. I don't necessarily think it was another entity per se, as in another owner, but because of the way he bought the building, he didn't pay all of the taxes in the rear. With most state
Right.
auctions, if
You
you
have
pay a
to pay
percent
the.
of it,
Mm-hmm.
the rest of it carries over.
Right.
So
Right.
the portion that carried over could possibly be from the sale that he didn't pay that he's trying to push off and or dissolve. So like the young lady said, he could get that building out of his name and or complete the sale, whether it be to Gloria God and or Whitehead.
Right.
so he is the con artist and the crook behind all of this, right?
I
No.
don't
Because
need nobody doxing me. I'm not making no
allegedly,
No.
accusations.
allegedly.
It doesn't
Allegedly.
seem okay. So, in terms of his dealings with Whitehead, that might be a little convoluted in the way that he has his agreement with him.
Yeah.
But initially, with his purchasing of the building, even Mosley, there's nothing conniving about that. There was
So here's where I think the other problem came in was the original guy who was trying to sell it may have had ulterior motives as in just trying to get the building off. I don't
And
want to
so
deal with
does
this
Michael
anymore.
Mosley.
And still
absolutely. I mean,
right.
anybody
So
knows that
then
if you own a property,
he ran into more he bit off more than he could chew dealing with Whitehead because Whitehead also had ulterior motives. So let's say Whitehead didn't, he would have still pushed the building off on that third party owner just to dissolve it out of his name. It just so happened that Whitehead came in with the bullshit.
Unfortunately.
Allegedly came in with the bullshit.
So Whitehead really is the single-handed villain, allegedly.
Well, no, I wouldn't say the only one. I think it's more than one crooked hand in the pot. Whose it is, I don't know. I'm not
But
making
I
any
mean,
accusations, but
being
from the
crooked and
original
trying,
sale, there are too many twists and turns for
well, yeah.
everybody in the dealing to have been straight up.
Owning a building and owing taxes, but wanting to sell it before you lose it to get some money out of the situation. I mean, that might be, real estate 103. I'm not, that's not my area.
I
So
agree.
with Mosley buying the building and not really, because it seems like they bought the building, they were contacted by Whitehead. They said, well, listen, they ain't paying me, and whatever happened with the previous owner, whatever, I want them out so you can go ahead and evict them and we can work on what we want to do. And Whitehead threw a whole monkey wrench in that and said, hold on, I'm gonna go up in here, I'm gonna change the locks because you gave me authority to evict them legally, but he did it illegally. Because Mosley said Whitehead didn't even have um, permission to occupy the building. He was supposed to evict them and then start paying for, start working towards this 1.9 million they were selling it for. Or I don't know how much they were selling it for. I know they bought it for 1.9. So I can't imagine they were going to sell it to him
So
for that. Um,
here's where I have a concern though. If and I'm not good with names. If the original guy owned it and he owed taxes on it, apparently Whitehead found out about that building because the building went back onto the market for taxes, which means if Gloria God was originally paying the first owner and he wasn't paying taxes, then you're pocketing the money that they gave you, which is why their attorney told them to stop paying.
well, absolutely. Let us not
So
forget
then,
why Whitehead went to jail all those years ago. It was
mhm,
because he was a crook. Right? And
He's
so
still a crook.
all those years, right? But all those years ago, he was doing all kinds of mortgage scams and things. So if he has, if you are registered as a real estate agent and things like that, you're especially going to be abreast of auctions and property auctions. So you're some of the first people, if you're looking
He
for
is so
properties,
far.
you're going to be checking the auctions. And so Whitehead was checking the auctions.
yeah, I agree with that.
And he felt like he hit a lick because just like he allegedly conned that elderly woman out of her $90,000. apparently
Pauline Anderson.
apparently he went over there and had a shiny nickel and said, hey, I can get this building up off you. I'm interested in buying this building. What can we do? And Mosley said, well, I really don't even want to be bothered. So give me a number. And so now everything
Hmm.
is in an absolute mess.
I,
Mm-mm-mm.
so is it? What do y'all think Michael Moses and Ladaya Moses knew about Whitehead as they came into the situation? Were they not a? Do, do y'all think that they knew who this dude was beforehand, or because they were desperate to get the property off of them, that they just entertained him on the surface and had no idea about like his background?
I don't
So
think that they
I
knew
think
anything about him.
I think it all depends
Yeah,
on
no.
what you follow and what kind of news you follow.
Yeah.
Because just because everybody is in New York doesn't mean everybody knows about Whitehead and his background. And a lot of people still follow him from New York. I see comments and everything.
I can't
Me
My
imagine.
too.
bishop.
I can't
It's
imagine that
ridiculous.
he didn't. I can't imagine that he didn't brag.
Well, he always brags. but
Which,
it all depends
which,
on who, right? It all depends on who he's coming in contact with. I mean, Whitehead, he greases up his lips and he smiles and he walks around saying the bishop, you know what I mean? And I don't know how old these people are. I don't know what their ages are. I don't know how in tune they are to
They got to be
possibly,
old enough
or
considering how
maybe,
much they brought this building
right,
for.
exactly. They got to have some money, right? But depending on, what they follow, because I mean, I really find it hard to believe that you haven't seen enough of the news that this guy didn't pop up on your radar. The Daily News is a major
Well,
paper here. There are other smaller publications I see like AM New York and those kinds of things. But he's been in the Daily News and the Post quite a bit. So if
so
you're just not really watching those, that's the only way you could miss it and miss, the shenanigans that have been going on with him. Um, because you would have to know that even his past conviction is out there. We know he's been convicted for some fraudulent activity.
let me play devil's advocate on that. And the reason I say that is because so take this with a grain of salt. I'm not saying anything about the people who follow this kind of content. However, if you're paying 3 point whatever million, 6 point whatever million, and you're doing those kind of transactions, the likelihood of you being focused on social media is next to nil.
Right.
Compared to the fact, and also, well, I won't say compared to the fact, but also including the fact that these people may not be in the vein of researching who they do business with, although that may be a good idea and a rule of thumb, because he has the ability to be a chameleon and to present himself like money and to be on a platform with other millionaires. They're not thinking about, oh, let me run his background. Oh, let me see if he has a record. Oh, let me see what his social media looks like. So if you come to the table willing and dealing, talking money, well, I can do this for you. I can do that for you. I can get the people out the building, turn around, occupy the building, and then solidify the sale. They're probably not wanting and or don't have the conscious thought to check somebody's social media, because that's chances are that's not the only deal they have on the table for the
But
next
not
30
even
days.
like just social media, but at least do like a petty background check, because I would expect transactions at this level to 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 require some extra vetting. And
I
I mean,
agree with that, which
you
is
know,
why it's the cluster that it is, because they did not do that. But that
Right.
kind of bolsters the fact that that's not necessarily something that they're paying attention to.
Right, because usually with sales of this magnitude, first you're only going to entertain buyers who they can secure the financing. So usually when you have
Absolutely.
a property that's in the millions, only certain people can even apply for, you know what I mean, could even see the property. So
Hmm.
I would suspect if you're dealing with this kind of money that you want to know who you're dealing with is not going to
mhm.
waste your time, and that they can absolutely afford to pay what you're asking. But
Which could then, oh,
apparently
I'm
they
sorry, go ahead.
did, because they didn't know that he would create a whole fake deed allegedly and steal it out from under their nose, or try
So
to.
Hmm.
another caveat to that is we're assuming that the person who's trying to get the building off is doing legitimate business.
Yeah.
Well,
If you're
nah,
doing
I'm
legitimate
not assuming
business,
he's doing legitimate business, but
so because if you
let's
are,
just say
everything
he is.
everybody is saying makes sense. You're going to want to do at least a petty background check. You're
Yeah,
going to want to see if their finances or if their name is in that industry or market with yours. I agree with that. But if
yeah,
you could give a damn to what somebody's credentials are and they simply talk a good game, which seems to be an ability of his, then you end up with the situation you're in now.
But if
absolutely.
you dealing with, if you got to understand, if these are elderly people, come on now, they 9 times out of 10 they don't really know about social media and stuff like that, and they not computer savvy, so they not gonna really go and check. They just believe in what he's saying, and like,
Well,
okay,
that I
well,
agree with that. That's what yeah,
I
I
just
agree
don't.
with that.
But who has 1.9 million and doesn't also have a team available to
A,
handle
an
these
attorney at the
transactions?
very
Yeah,
least.
have attorneys, have has infrastructure
Yeah,
Well,
to protect
technically,
themselves, to protect themselves from being potentially scammed, etc. Because they also know that they are at risk. Like if
right.
you are a seller, you are at
Yep,
risk for being hoodwinked and bamboozled as well. So
right.
somebody with this type of money who could even, get into this level of purchase on a property, it's just very odd that
Yep.
that they would not have better vetted the situation. It's very weird. Like I know big money niggas and women, and none of them operate this way in
It,
business.
carelessly. It seems
Yeah,
like it's
like it's
careless because as soon as somebody contacts you and say, I want to buy your property for X amount of dollars, I would think the first thing you're going to do is get your real estate attorney involved in the sale. You know what I mean? Okay, let's draw up the paperwork, but we want to have some attorneys at the table. It can't just be me, my sister, and you.
Yeah.
I don't think that's how
and
those
that's
legal
why I said
matters
the
work.
only way I can bypass that and make it make sense is if they were desperate. Is
Right,
if they were desperate and they moved
right.
out of desperation.
They being who, Conscious?
The
The
trustees.
Mosleys.
Yeah.
Lydia
Okay.
and
Yeah.
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 Michael.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. You had to want to get rid of it to not do at least a little bit of homework. To even know if the person contacted you could even afford to buy your property.
And we know he
Because
can't
even
afford it because
if
he had less than $10 in his bank account. So we know he
That
can't
part.
afford it.
and even if it was legitimate business, and we don't know any numbers, let's say it was legitimate business, and Gloria God
Allegedly.
was paying the proper owner, then the value and property taxes wouldn't have been so much if the original owner was doing his due diligence and actually operating above board. The taxes still wouldn't have been what they were at the initial sale to him if he were just trying to liquidate that liability. You get what I'm saying? So if he bought it and it was $6,000 of taxes owed on it, and Gloria Guy has been paying him per the lease to own agreement for the past 3 years, the taxes owed should be substantially less if he was paying the money forward and actually taking care of taxes. But I don't think that's the case because the taxes seem to, per hype, the amount owed on the building seemed to be more than what it was originally purchased for and what it was left in arrears.
Right.
So with the current lawsuit from the trustees, do y'all think this is going to uh escalate another superseded indictment because this is another fraud, especially if they legitimize this fraud claim? Do y'all think that this is going to be incorporated
Absolutely.
in
Hmm.
criminals a previous case where the
One
polling situation already is?
one
They've already
thousand
court
1000%
one
conscious.
thousand.
I agree
I
with her.
wouldn't say it should.
And this why I said in my last commentary that this is why the DA is allowing him to pussy pop free out in this
Yep.
world, because he's just building his case, because they
Yes.
know he on desperate time. They know desperate time call for desperate measures. Desperate measures are going to be criminal measures, and they're just going to let him do the most so that the trial happens. It's a close and shut case.
Yep. Because of course, listen, the FBI knows exactly what's going on. And that deed was filed. They're just waiting for the housing court judge or someone to say this deed is false. And then they're gonna get him for falsifying deeds and trying to steal property. And that's gonna be a whole other federal charge on him. He's going to be in trouble. But his problem is one, he thinks he can talk his way out of everything. That's why he's going to all these radio stations and doing all these interviews, because his experience says he has the gift of gab. And
No,
people want
one, his problem is he talked too much and
well,
he can't
that's
shut
that's
his
what
mouth.
I'm saying. He feels like if
And
he
he's
can
smarter
just
than the next person. He
if
think
he
he's
can just
smarter.
talk to you, he can convince you to believe what it is
Hmm.
that he's speaking. Even in the midst of his past conviction, he still tells everybody, he doesn't say I was let out on a technicality, meaning I should not have been sentenced to as many years. He'll say, it was thrown out. It wasn't thrown out, love. You just got too much time according to the guidelines of what your sentence should have been originally. But he thinks, but he's going. Listen, the FBI is going to charge him with some more. They're just waiting. They're waiting for, as soon as that judge say, you presented a false document, where did you get this deed from? And it is false, he's going to be arrested again on another indictment.
The
And
house
he's
of
going to the
cards.
big house.
There is a stage 5-10 damn earthquake on Lamar right now. He done lost an attorney.
He has a new one. He has a new housing court attorney.
No, I'm talking about the attorneys on his criminal case.
Yeah,
Brian
he
L.
doesn't
Ponda
he
dropped his
doesn't have.
ass.
But
I
is
mean,
the
all of
woman
his
still representing him? I forget what her name is. Dawn Florio.
yeah,
Is she still
Florio.
representing him?
she's still on the case. He done lost his wife. He done lost the Glory of God property. I mean, every motion submitted in a criminal case is denied, 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 denied. I mean,
He got more denials than he have his teeth.
Yeah.
He got more missing teeth and more denial.
so in closing, Glory of God is attempting to they think they own the property, or they're attempting to own the property. I'm still kind of unclear about what they're trying to do. Are they
I think they're
also
still trying to own the property.
Yeah, attempting.
Oh yeah, they
But at this
want to
point, they're going to
limit.
have to clear up the lawsuit, clear up the fraudulent paperwork, clear up everything that precluded up until the original repurchase of that property to
Yep.
figure everything out.
Yep. So
Who owes what taxes?
Yep.
What building was in what name? When did you start your church exemption status so we can then narrow that down? And then once all that's taken care of, if they still want to own the building, at that point, it shouldn't be any liens on the deed or
I didn't open
litigation
her.
pending. They could go on and own it if they want to.
Well, that's provided if that sale, well, the sale was indeed legal to the Mosley Trust or the Moses Trust. They're going to have to buy it from them if they want to sell it to them. But first,
So what I'm thinking is, because Whitehead got the limited authority that he got through the trust, I think both the original name person through the trust is the person who actually made the purchase.
yes.
So if that be the case, it wouldn't be a second party before Whitehead making him the third, and then Gloria God maybe the fourth.
No,
It
no,
was him and the trust.
that other party that's being spoke of is before Moses bought the building at auction.
Okay.
Whoever owned that property that lost it because of non-payment of taxes and Moses was able to buy it, those are the people or the company who was not paying taxes where Gloria God was paying to. So they were paying to someone else. They didn't pay. In comes Mosley and the trust. They buy the building, enters Whitehead, and now
Okay.
Okay, so first, Gloria God and Mosley is going to have to deal with what's going on with Whitehead, and then they're going to have to deal with each other because guess what? The Moses, they wanted Gloria God out of that building. They wanted them out of that building. That's why they said, listen, if you can go ahead and evict them from this building, and then you start, because the question I have is, why didn't the Moses start the paperwork to evict them out of the building? Why did they?
Because they didn't want to spend more money to get them out.
Well, see, well,
If you got somebody coming in offering, because all that take money. It take money to evict
but
somebody
it's still
residentially.
weird because they ended up still spending that
paying
money
the
to
money
sue Whitehead.
exactly.
Yep.
Like, so it's like you still ended up like yeah.
It's like you still ended up. So you should have just spent the money to get them out. It probably wouldn't have been as much as you're going to now spend with this dude here.
Well, again, and I hate to keep playing devil's advocate, that's dependent on the fact that Mosley actually wanted to create revenue out of the building. Because if he actually wanted somebody in the building, then yes, the protocol, or The assumed appropriate protocol would have been for him to evict his first party tenants, get them out, and then reoccupy the building so he could begin making money again.
Right.
That wasn't the case. I think he bought the building,
and
put
according
somebody in
to
it.
and according to the other attorney who I was referencing, she was saying that Gloria God, as far as she's concerned, they were squatting, and she said that they were protected from any eviction because of New York first and foremost being a squatter friendly state. Okay, hold on. Somebody got too much noise going on in the background. You're gonna have to mute yourself. I don't know who pouring water and shit. But she was saying that they are squatters, and she was saying that they were protected in their squatting because of New York squatter friendly laws, but also that during the code, using code language, Corisha 19, the pandemic
Right.
also
Right.
provided a lot of safety for
Yes.
tenants,
Yes.
etc., to essentially be able to get away with squatting, with made it quadruple hard in a squatter friendly state, on top of all of the legislation that was put in place during Corisha 19 regarding housing, eviction, etc., tenants, and all of that shit. So that
It's
So
so
depending on how things played out,
it's
if Gloria God's attorney had them stop paying prior to Miss 19 showing her face, then as a result, by default, it would have looked like that Gloria God was squatting when they actually couldn't get litigation started because court was in pause. So when court resumed, yes, it looks like they were squatting, but if they were told by their attorney not to pay, and then court was delayed, at the present time, you deal with what the law tells you deal with, which is somebody in a domicile or in a commercial space not paying rent for a surplus of 90 days or whatever the state of New York law is. That indeed is how they have to deal with it. But because there were tax issues prior to them being able to get to court, it couldn't get resolved.
right.
So yeah, they look like squatters.
So if Gloria God were a palatable potential buyers, then there must have had been some shit muddied in the water between Moses and Gloria God, because they were already purchased the property, which means that there was no need to really deal with Whitehead. So what went on in the relationship outside of this tax shit that made Moses and his sibling Michael and his sibling kind of backdoor them in this way, and etc. Because it's something missing. Like it's like shit. It's something.
Well, think about it like this. That could have been a part of the plot. If I'm buying this building and I know I don't have the forethought to actually make it profitable, I'm gonna get somebody in it, take the money. How it got muddied was because the taxes were never paid from the original purchase. And if that was the case, he was just collecting money, knowing that it was eventually going to go into default, then into foreclosure, and then back on the market.
Well, that's okay. So we're assuming that Gloria God was okay. So here's the thing: we're assuming that Gloria God was actually ever paying money to Moses, because what it sounds like to me is they were paying money to whomever they were supposed to rent to own the property from. Moses comes in, he buys the property. I never heard that Gloria God had an agreement with Moses where they would be paying rent or they would take over that rent to own agreement. What it sounds like is Moses bought the building, enters Whitehead, there goes the eviction. Moses wanted them out and they wanted to sell the building. But where is the agreement between Gloria God and Moses? I
think the agreement is what they call an adhesion contract. If the current owner of a building has an agreement with a third party and they sell the building, isn't it up to the new owner to evict them?
Well, it wasn't a sale, it was a loss. So the difference there is they lost the building to the state, to the county. They lost the building because of non-payment of taxes. So Moses and his trust has no duty to enter an agreement on it or anything with Gloria God.
Well, what I'm saying is the agreement existed. Wait a minute, let me see.
If an
Because
agreement existed with another entity that has nothing to do with Moses, whatever agreement Glory of God had with someone else became null
so
and void, became null
so
and void when that building went into foreclosure and up for auction. Whatever agreement they had with anybody
so then when it went into foreclosure and somebody wanted to attempt to pick up the building through foreclosure, wouldn't it then be on the new owner or new potential owner to evict the current the current occupants?
exactly,
It would.
and there goes Moses giving Whitehead limited trustee ability
Which is
to
where I was
evict
going to go
them.
ahead and evict them.
Yes, that's there you
Yep.
go.
But if he's the owner, if Michael is the owner, why do he need Whitehead to evict anyone?
Because
Wouldn't
he
that be
To
didn't
his
absolve the
job?
cost and
because
responsibility.
right. You have I'm giving you because listen, Whitehead would not be able to walk into the housing court and say, I want to evict them without some kind of paperwork stating that I have these rights to do so, right? Well, he didn't even go to the housing court. He evicted them illegally. That's how Glory of God was able to get back in December. They got that decision they got in December that he had to let them back in that building, which he didn't. But in order for him to be able to walk into the court and say, I want these people out, you have to have authority from the owner of the building. So the owner gave Whitehead the authority to do so, and Whitehead took that and ran it into his criminal ground.
Because, like Brandon said, Moses, they used
Yep.
Whitehead because it was cheaper.
Yep.
So
If you want to buy the building, you pay to get them out, and
get
then
them
you
out.
pay us.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was killing two birds with one stone.
Indeed.
Yep. Because that's
And
what they
and
do
they did on
residentially. If somebody buy a house and it's somebody in it, then it's up to the new. In most cases, it's up to the new owner to get the existing occupants out. Hey, I
yeah.
bought this. Unless you sign my contract saying this, you got 30 days to go.
And people in the comments saying that Glory of God has proof of ownership, where clearly they don't. How the hell would they look?
So
I
so
could see
so
proof of
so
potential
so
ownership
so
because
so
they had the lease to own.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. If they have proof of ownership, that means it goes back to the beginning of what I said, because what I read initially is they said they thought they had tax exempt status because they were a church, so they were not paying taxes. They didn't know that they owed the taxes, and they didn't know it
This
was
is a
sold.
big mess.
So again, that means that they were negligent, or they were ignoring. Maybe they were ignoring the paper. They were saying, "Why are we getting
Hold
a
on,
tax bill?"
hold on. It's some feedback. It's like some background
Okay.
feedback. Okay.
Maybe they were ignoring the notices when they were getting tax bills and saying we're exempt. We shouldn't have a tax bill, so just throw it out. I can't understand why they would ignore those notices.
They may not have been getting notices
That
because
don't
the
make
tax
any
notices
sense
would go
though.
to the title on the deed, the title
Right,
owner on the
right.
deed.
I'm speaking to the people in the comments that are saying, they provided proof of ownership. If they did, then that means that
They
the
okay,
problem was
but do
initially
that
with
make any
them.
sense to you? It don't make no sense to me.
Guess
They
what? None
will,
of this makes
they
sense, really.
they the owners, but they ignoring the tax deed. They ignoring that they have to pay tax, but they can feed 200 families every Saturday. That don't make any
Well,
sense.
well, well, well. Again, if like you said, they're foreigners. They thought they did it right when they started the organization, and they said we are a tax exempt organization because this is a religious organization. It's possible, highly unlikely for me, but that somebody didn't reach out. I can't imagine you're getting all these notices and you're ignoring. So there's a lot of things that don't make sense.
Yeah, because like
Um,
Kiwana said, apparently someone intentionally didn't register the building as a
There
church.
you go. And I
That's what I
forgot
was
to
going to
say
say.
that
I was going to get
happened.
around to that.
The building obviously
Somewhere,
wasn't.
somebody didn't
Yeah.
have that building zoned correctly. And if you on the scheme and the scam anyway, you'll tell the potential occupant, oh yeah, it's zoned as a religious organization.
But
You don't have to worry about that.
Hold on for a minute, y'all. Hold on for a minute, y'all. The moderators, please rotate the link for me. People are asking for it, you guys. I just dropped it, so I dropped it a few seconds ago too. So
but
hit the link and
it,
moderators rotate the link.
it would be good for the owner if they registered it tax exempt, because that means you as the owner don't have to pay taxes because this church is an entity there, right?
Yeah, but
So
if your
that means
purpose
more
is
money
not
to
to
you.
be above board, you
Well,
tell them that it is. When it's not, collect the money
and not pay the taxes.
and not pay the taxes.
Yeah.
My God. Every time that y'all go to talk, I lose who's wrong in the situation.
Because it almost seems like everybody's wrong.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
just like,
It's too many. It's too much. It's too much that's outstanding. It's
I
too much
feel like Gloria
information
God
that's
is not
missing.
wrong. I feel like they
I was
were
gonna
the
say that.
ones. I just feel like Gloria God is not wrong. I feel like they are stuck in the middle and they are the one that's getting bamboozled, not
Yep.
Michael Mosley. I feel like he's a crook, and we all know Whitehead's a crook. I feel like because it don't make no sense why Gloria God would pay for a rented space, church space, and not pay for the space that they've been in for all this time, and then that they feed 200 people that's in need every Saturday. That don't make any sense. That's not adding up.
Well, it's not that they weren't paying. Well, paying the taxes and paying mortgage. Um, yeah, I can't. That's crazy. That's crazy to me too. That's why it's
No, I
too good
said it
that.
doesn't make sense that
Well,
they
that's
wouldn't pay their mortgage or
right.
taxes, but
So
they
that
paying for a rented space, and they also paying for food for people out of their pocket, but they not paying their space where they in. It's not making any sense. So to me, I don't think Gloria God is the problem. So I'm gonna leave them out of it. I think it's Mosley and Whitehead. Them are the criminal and the original owners. They are the crooks in this situation, not Gloria God.
wow.
That's just my personal opinion.
you might be
Moses, I mean, not Moses, Yellow Bill, check the back chat, Brandon. I want to get more walk in here as well, you guys, super quick. More walk. Welcome to the platform, love. You were asking for the panel. What are your thoughts around the Glory to God controversy?
Good afternoon, CT. I love you. I just wanted to say
Thank
that
you.
first.
Love you too, Bill.
I wanted to give
Okay, I'll
a
tell
little
her.
bit more context as it relates to Gloria God. Gloria God never had a mortgage or anything. They were just leasing the building as anyone would lease a building for the services that they were rendering. It just happens to be a church. Now, the original building was in a trust, and it was in a family trust. And when you have a building in a family trust, there's different types of there's different types of laws that go in contract with that. The family trust was 5904, something to that degree, with the family trust, which was part of the address of where the building is. Moses' sister transferred the deed to the building to him back in January of 2022. So that's how he ended up being the deed owner of the owner of the building. The taxes were probably already owed from
Hold on.
it being in the family trust because
Hold on for a minute. More. Patricia,
Yes.
it's background noise, boo. So I'm muting you until she's complete, because it's like a, some type of noise coming from the background. Go ahead, Amora.
okay. So the taxes were from when the deed was in the family trust, which was Moses and his family, the sister and his sister. So the sister, I guess, was like, let's say she was the administrator of the trust. I'm just using that as an example, as what I'm saying to get everybody to understand. And she transferred the deed to him. When she did that, the taxes were already owed on the building. Gloria God never owned the building. They were never paying a mortgage on the building. They were just paying a lease like anyone else would pay for a building that they don't own. You're occupying it. You're paying rent to be in there. But In doing so, they claim, or they said that they were, going to be in the process of trying to secure a mortgage at some point. They've been in there since 2014, so they've been paying all of this time up until recent. Now, when Whitehead got involved, is because the taxes were owed, the building went up for sale for on a for the tax lien. Whitehead never paid that. Obviously, he went to Moses, and Moses agreed to let him help him try to evict the occupants of the building. And by doing so, allowing him time to secure funding to purchase the building. And Whitehead never did that. Whitehead kept saying that he was the trustee, he was the trustee. He wasn't the trustee. The trustee is Moses, and Moses, as the trustee, it seems appears to gave him some type of verbal agreement, because there has never been any documents that showed him signing off anything to Whitehead until a couple of weeks ago, when Whitehead came up with this deed all of a sudden, that he faxed over to the court, and it looked distorted to me. But who am I? I'm just saying allegedly. So that's kind of the background of what's going on. So there was never a mortgage that Gloria God had. They were just leasing the building to have church in it. They've been there since 2014. Probably had aspirations of staying, so they did renovations and things of that nature. As it relates to um, Whitehead being allowed to be in the building, I think, it was just out of courtesy. Let him go in the building, get what he needs, and leave, or whatever the case may be. I'm not sure if they both can remain in the building and have church, but I know that was one of the reasons why he went back into the building to get his things, and they were allowed to be in there at the same time. I guess to sort of police one another, don't take what don't belong to you type of a situation. So that's been my understanding of it, as a New York resident as well.
Okay. So does anybody here know about what documents presented by Whitehead are forged? Because I know someone in the chat was saying even the addendum is fraudulently constructed. I know that Moses is also claiming the deed
Yeah,
is
Moses did admit
fraudulently
that.
constructed. But is there any confirmation around the addendum
Well,
that
Moses
is
is
in
the one that
question?
presented the addendum.
Huh?
Moses is the one that presented the addendum in his court filing. Isn't that what? That's what I saw.
Yeah. So okay. So then I don't know who the hell,
Yeah, I don't think there was any
whoever the hell said that in the
questions
chat. Then
around.
yeah.
I don't think there was any questions around the addendum, but Moses presented the deed, and his deed was his sister signing over ownership to him, and then Whitehead's deed had Michael signing over to him. But you can tell that certain things were sort of erased, maybe whited out, and
Or copied and
Okay,
you know,
so
paste.
but the
copy
question
and
I
paste.
have is, was
And
it
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold
transferred?
on. So hold on. So one more question. So also, somebody was saying the rent to own lease is fraudulent.
I never seen a rent to own lease. The only thing they said is that they were leasing the building, but about a rent to own, I didn't never see anything about that. I just think that was maybe assumed, but I'm not sure. I never saw anything about that document wise.
All right. The question I have is, if the sister transferred the property, so that means that Michael paid the back taxes on the property. Like,
No,
did
he
he?
didn't. He didn't pay the back
Okay.
taxes on the property.
So the back taxes still haven't been paid.
Well, as of I believe it went up for auction in August or September of last year.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, somehow, I guess, in New York State, at least, when things go up for when properties go up for auction due to tax liens, it's public knowledge.
Yes,
So
it
you can
is.
always you can look for that, and you can find out any homeowner or commercial buildings that
Yes.
are up for auction. And I think that he probably was perusing and
He
found.
absolutely. So he saw that it was up for auction. I mean, it was up for auction because of the tax lien, and he probably contacted Moses and said, "Okay, I'll buy it from you."
Right.
And
And
so that's how this mess. Okay, so like Conscious said, it had to be out of desperation that they were trying to get rid of it so quickly, and that seems probably what.
and then when you have things, because it was in a family trust, is the reason why, it got even more complicated.
Right.
Yeah, because I don't know about the state of New York, but in my state,
Because
even
family
when you
just
transfer a
you can
title,
transfer
you
titles
get a
for a
certain
family
amount of
trust.
time to take care of the taxes. You
Yes.
get a grace period.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And that wasn't even
Yes.
upheld either
That's the
because
case.
you get a certain amount of time to do it. And when it's a family trust, there's many family members. So you just can't, one
Hmm.
person just can't do everything unless they have been
Well,
made
I
the
think it was said that it's
administrator.
only them two in the trust.
I'm sorry.
I think it was said that it's only them two in the trust, the sister and the brother.
Hmm.
Okay. That's
Yeah, the
possible. But if
siblings.
there were any dead siblings, their children are part of the trust too. I know that because I'm dealing with that now with my own personal situation in the family
Yes.
trust.
Yes. If any children that are, or if they had other siblings, their children are now inheritors
Right.
of
And
said
or their
trust and
grandchildren. I
property.
mean,
Yes.
it can be
It transfers.
many
Hmm.
people. So that's where the complications came in. But Whitehead never purchased. He never paid money on the tax lien to purchase it. He entered into an agreement with Moses. If I do this, will you do that? And Moses said, well, if you assist me in helping with the eviction procedures legally, then you can secure funding to purchase the building, then yes. But that never took place as of the time.
Right. They're saying that he never secured the funding.
Right.
Yeah.
And he didn't go the
He
he
never
didn't take the
secured the funding. He unlawfully evicted the congregation,
right.
Right.
Correct.
and he damaged the property
Right.
And he
And he
damaged it.
unlawfully occupied because they said he wasn't supposed to
Right.
and
occupy.
unlock. Yeah,
Right.
and unlawfully occupied
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
part. Yikes.
Well, I'm going back to work, but I'm looking forward to the next live. Love you.
Love you too, boo, and thank you so much. Wow,
Yes.
wow,
Thank you for getting
wow.
us even more clear on
Mm,
where we weren't clear.
yeah, yeah.
So
Like
see,
somebody said, it seemed like, yeah, the desperation of Moses coupled with Whitehead's incompetence and alleged criminality
and
had.
that speaks to another thing in the state of New York with all of the gentrification that's happening. A lot of families that own properties in this city, they lose them to the taxes, right? And you have a lot of blood sucking people who have been coming in and stealing these elderly people's homes that are valued at $1 million or more because of the desperation of back taxes. So this seems like one of those situations where they were taken advantage of because of the taxes that are owed. Because just because you own a property within a trust doesn't mean at this juncture in your life you have the money to really pay the taxes. So the sister probably transferred it to him so they could delay in a sense until they could find a buyer. And so it seems like again Whitehead was just really he's a shark in bloody water, and he smells it, and he was perusing those, like, who's desperate that I can get, right? Who's desperate enough to enter agreement with me so I can possibly come up on some quick money, because my home is in foreclosure. I'm fighting the feds. I got to pay these attorneys. I ain't really got it. I got two members in my church, so that's not covering my legal fees. Who can I scam real quick? But he tried to do it above board, but he wouldn't know above board if it smacked him in his face.
Mm, um, Deborah, uh, did you send it to the right email? I'm checking my email now, and I just checked my spam too. I haven't received the email. If you sent one, make sure that conscious has a Z on the end. It's spelled exactly how it's spelled here on my channel at Gmail.
Right.
But it hasn't come through yet. The
All right.
email.
I just want to say, Conscious, thank you for allowing me to come on and speak with you.
No,
I watch you
thank
all the time.
y'all.
I am a fan of yours.
Thank you.
You and Larry Reed and
Thank
all
you.
you guys' commentary. I am a fan. I watch. You are great at what it is
Thank
you're doing
you.
here.
Thank
So
you,
Yes,
Boo.
he
thank
I
you.
is.
appreciate
And he fine.
and
Hopefully we can, because Chad, I was supposed to be over here working. I still work from home,
no,
and
thank y'all for coming up because I wasn't going to get into the nitty gritty of the paperwork. I just kind of was came on to really to report on the lawsuits, etc. And then I kind of segued into that. And then that's kind of how all this happened. But I'm happy y'all came up because y'all brought clarity to me, because I haven't paid whole attention to like the Glory of God situation. Since it's been playing out, I kind of just, I've looked at some stuff, but not everything. So I made that known from the beginning. So I'm glad y'all came up and y'all was able to help me to fill in the blanks. And I'm also glad to know that I wasn't the only one who needed some goddamn filling in. Apparently all of us needed some damn filling in. We all were trying to put this shit together because it's a lot going on. But this was really epic. This was amazing. So thank you so much, Julia. And thank you for the support. And hopefully we can continue to serve you in entertainment and news.
You absolutely
and
do.
and all that.
I certainly
Okay,
do.
babe.
Enjoy the rest of you guys' evening.
You
And you
too.
too, babes. That was Julia, you guys. Patricia and BB, anything that you guys want to leave out on?
I just want to say
Not on
you.
any other. Go ahead, ladies first. Go ahead.
Patricia, you can go
Yes,
ahead,
I
babe.
just want to say you. Hello, can you
Yes,
hear me?
ma'am. Yes, we can hear you.
I just want to say you're a great content creator.
Thank you.
I love watching you. I
Thank
hope
you.
you
Where you
continue to
been,
be
Patricia? I ain't
blessed.
seen you in a minute. I'm like, where the fuck is Patricia at?
I know, you know what? I've been here with my son. And I'm in Vegas right now, so
Okay, come on, Vegas.
I haven't been on. But I'm not going nowhere. I'm not going far from you. And I
Yeah.
just want to say you are by far the finest thing I have seen in a while. And keep up the good work. I love your
Thank
smile.
you, babe. I will.
And
Thank
my sister
you.
also think you are so fine too.
Oh, shout out to
So
sister girl. I may have to look. Why y'all ain't tell me y'all was going to Vegas? I could have came through Vegas. I need a little quick vacation. I
you
need some
welcome.
in and
You
out.
always welcome.
All right, y'all gotta let me know the next time that y'all biggity bounce some damn well. Don't leave me out of the menage a trois.
And my son said, "What's up, too?"
Tell him
And
what's
thank you.
good.
And
Tell
have
him
a
he better be
great.
subscribed to this damn channel too.
He is. He is. He is. He's
Nice,
subscribed to you
nice.
already, and he's
Okay.
following you on Instagram too.
Okay, so hit me up on Instagram and let me know, because I get an influx of all type of shit going on, so I don't really be knowing who be who.
I know
But
you be
hit me
busy
up
on
on Instagram,
Instagram.
boo,
You
and let
better
me
put
know.
me back as your moderator
I,
because I've been waiting
as
for
soon as
you.
you drop down, type something in the chat, and I'm gonna rent you up.
Okay, I'm gonna do that right now once I hang up.
Okay, boo.
Bye.
All right, babe.
Bye,
Bye
Brandon.
bye.
Bye.
That
See
was
you
our Patricia,
later.
you guys. Okay, so Brandon, I just got something very interesting. I just got sent an email by Deborah, conscious crew member, and she sent what looks to be some of the details around the 5904 Foster Avenue. So I may have to redrop the damn link in case people want to come up and deal with this. Let me share the screen here super quick. Okay, because she was saying that it showed when Whitehead became I'm assuming the owner, as you guys see here, Party 1, 5904 Foster Avenue Trust, Party 2, Leaders of Tomorrow, and then you see here under the bottom Whitehead as trustee, Lamor, etc. And then you see some Esquire stuff, some LLC stuff, and then you see the deed here, dated for last month on the 19th to the 25th is when this went into action allegedly, and it does show Whitehead as trustee, etc. But they're saying that he's a partial trustee, right? And Party 2 also is listed here as Mugshots of Tomorrow International Ministries. And then you see here at the bottom the deed in 2022 was with Party Martin Caffrey Esquire, Referee James. And then before that was tax lien certificate, etc. So what do you think of this, B?
Um,
Uh-oh, got disconnected. Okay, Deborah. Let me go back up to Deborah, see what Deborah had to say. Where's Deborah comment at? I don't know if Deborah commented yet. Okay, Revival Concept says taxes owed are due because of the LLC that was listed in the title. Non-payment of taxes for a sum amount of time is unfortunate because of their loss at the auction. Okay, be you back.
yes, I'm back. My bad. Hit the wrong button. Well, it doesn't surprise me because it does say that he filed to transfer the deed, and it does say that Michael Mosley or whomever did make him partial trustee to do certain things. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if transferring the deed was beyond that scope is one thing, but we do know that he had some authority to do some things, so that doesn't necessarily surprise me. It looks like the records show that, I don't know, I believe the referee and further down is the transition of the property going from the prior owner into the tax foreclosure, and then from the tax foreclosure over to Whitehead because he was temporary trustee. Other than that, it doesn't really say anything that we didn't already kind of discuss or go over. Again, I'm not familiar with New York property law, but it doesn't seem out the way. The question is whether or not the deed that he filed was fraudulent or not. I don't know
Yeah.
about, not accusing anybody of anything, but that's
Well, that's what
where
Moses them is accusing him of. Allegedly, it is.
that's what court is for. They're gonna find out. That's not my call. I don't want to smoke with nobody.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that
Okay.
if it were a proper business deal, that looks like, it was coming out of a tax foreclosure into the property or ownership of somebody else.
Yeah. Man, the motherfucking business goings of Northerners. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
This is a lot of shit. Okay. Are you still on Instagram? Because I
Yep.
had caught the messages in the back chat. I'm like, oh, where the hell
Yep.
you been? Where the hell all y'all been at?
I be in the bushes, man. I be here. I just be in the bushes.
What's the point of being in the bushes?
Man, I be at work. I be working on other projects. I love your
No.
entertainment and your channel. So I always listen, but I don't always have time or the availability to comment or jump in like I did today. But man, I'm always here supporting you. You always get my like when I jump on.
That part. Are you still on Instagram as the name in the back chat?
Yep.
Or okay. Because I don't be seeing your shit on Insta either unless you don't load that much.
No, I don't. I be in the bushes everywhere on social media, man.
In the bushes, y'all fucking bush baby, y'all something else. My God, today. Okay, well, I'm waiting on another content creator before we wrap up. Really B says she'll hit the link in a minute to get some clarity. Yeah, well, we got a whole. Oh, speaking of Unhinged. I forgot about Unhinged. So y'all know Unhinged, aka Unhinged with Budweiser K. I forgot to mention her ass. So y'all know the word on the curb for a while has been that she is planning to interview Arthur Miller's surviving relatives, which would be his children and would be his ex-wife. Okay. And y'all know this would be a complete and formal betrayal. It would be a official betrayal and official legally divorce if that happens between Criminal Head and Unhinged, who you guys know were in cahoots just a few months ago. Okay, so allegedly Unhinged is gearing up, baby. Okay, to give us what I told you guys here first. She would give us, because remember, months ago, matter of fact, back in December, I was telling y'all, I said Unhinged, baby, is not going to walk away from all of the fucking content that can be created out of Criminal Head's life, because his life from the time he was in the womb was filled with drama all the way to current present moment. Drama. drama from the time he incarnated into the earth. He's been drama. His arrest record is as long as any grocery list of a impoverished person, baby. It's infinite, honey. Okay, everything from restitution to scamming folk at the Honda dealership allegedly to questionable alleged romance with his mentor girl to it's been one thing after the other. And you guys know that the authors, you know, we read the New Yorker article here at the top of the year, who wrote up an extensive play-by-play and detailed chronological journaling of his life, where there was a excerpt in that write-up where the Millers spoke out about Whitehead to this journalist, and they spoke about how it wasn't until Arthur Miller, who Criminal Head accuses of being his father, was unfortunately unalived by police presence, and there was a payout, and this was when Criminal Head jumped up out of nowhere and contacted this family, claiming to be the long lost son and baby boy of Arthur Miller. And he had heard that there had been a payout, but he had not been contacted about that payout. He had not received any money. And he was looking to get his share of whatever was supposed to be his share, because he was looking to buy a vehicle at the time. The Millers, being the wife and being the wife. Hey, really, B.
Hey, what's up, babe?
Hey, Bo. Ain't nothing good. But the Millers, they were fine with him being the long lost son, etc. You know, Miller, you know, had a lot of kids, etc. It wasn't surprising to the family, but they wanted to fly him out so he could take a blood test to confirm his identity, rightfully so. You know, who the hell is just going to let somebody pop up claiming to be related to you and then, you know, be entitled to, you know, be an heir to any money or assets, you know, that you know, the person in question may have. But of course, Lamar refused to be flown out, to be flued out, and to do that blood testing to confirm his identity in order for him to get his fair share of the payout for Arthur Miller's wrongful death, etc. And so that same family, Arthur Miller, they also interviewed with Killer, A Gift and a Curse podcast. So you guys make sure to check out her interview with the Millers. They spoke out as well. They want nothing to do with Whitehead. They don't know why he is clout chasing behind their father's name and why he keeps inserting Arthur Miller's name, you know, into this. And then there was somebody who jumped on my mentor's page who is an alleged relative of the Millers as well, who spoke about Whitehead's mom actually being a crack whore, that he was born of a crack whore, etc. And it was just wild. So Unhinged getting involved, I'm not surprised, because Unhinged is Queen Messy and Criminal Head is the Prince of Mess. His life is littered with that shit. So there's no fucking way in hell she's not going to produce some damn docu-fucking series on this man's life. He's also been accused of his ex-wife of sexually assaulting his own children. CPS has been involved a few times as it relates to those claims that his ex made again. It's a mess. There's no way that Unhinged gonna let it go. So I'm not shook. I'm not surprised. I was the first one to tell y'all Unhinged was going to throw the relationship. She's going to sabotage it as she always does to every damn relationship. And that he going to be the next thing going up on trashaklive.com, baby. And that's going to be a 12-part fucking series, I'm sure. So y'all need to be looking at that. But welcome to the platform, Really Be. Thank you for being here, love. You guys make sure to subscribe to Really Be TV out on YouTube. She's an amazing content creator. She also does her fair share of coverage regarding a criminal head, etc. So, what is your understanding, Really Be, of the glory of God, debauchery, and the Moses and criminal head and all this shit over this property?
So the first thing I want people to do is stop getting caught up on who originally owned the property. And the reason why I say that is because that is something that hasn't been untangled yet. That is something that is still being worked out. That's the easiest way I can say that. I think I was listening a few minutes ago, and the guy that's up here right now, I apologize, I didn't know his name. He came the closest to sort of unraveling it when basically they were like, listen, they were scammed. My opinion is that they were scammed out of the property to begin with. Somebody told them they didn't have to pay the taxes, but they didn't properly do the paperwork, so they weren't, that they got scammed out of it to begin with. And they were already in the process of fighting it when this whole situation went down with Moses and Whitehead. So let's start the story with Moses and Whitehead, because that hasn't been unraveled yet because glory to God did own the property at one time. They had a mortgage. They were paying a mortgage. Then they had a second mortgage to do renovations, and that's where everything got muddy with that second mortgage. But no one has really unraveled all of that yet, because it's very convoluted. So I don't want nobody to kill no more brain cells trying to unravel that mess.
Well, you a little too late, Really Be. We already done went down the damn rabbit hole.
we did already burned up them. Cells. Because I came in and I said, "What are they talking about?" But as far as what's going on right now, here's what's going on right now. So somewhere Whitehead and Moses, they joined up. And in my opinion, this is Really B's opinion, I think something ain't clean in the buttermilk as it relates to Moses and Whitehead originally hooking up, honestly. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Somewhere with that, I think the agreement, they gave Whitehead a limited trustee power to do two things. The first thing, to legally evict Glory of God, which he did not do. And the second thing was to get financing. He was supposed to be buying the property outright, not renting. Yeah. So he didn't do either one. He didn't get financing, and he did not legally evict Glory of God. He illegally evicted them.
Yeah.
So they took him to court to get back in the building, to housing court. He didn't, and like you said, the laws in New York are very favorable to the tenants. So the judge sided with Glory of God. Well, what Whitehead did was he filed bankruptcy to stay the eviction. To stay the court order. While they were in bankruptcy court, he presented this quote unquote addendum that said that the original trust had basically given him the building and that he was now the rightful owner. Ooh, well, Moses, right. So the lawsuit that was filed yesterday, or not yesterday, last week, said, wait a minute, we never did that. That addendum is fake. That addendum is not real. We never gave you this building.
Yeah.
You had a limited trustee power, and neither one of those things included us giving you the building. And what Whitehead did was, with that quote unquote allegedly fake addendum, is when he went down and filed the deed, and he put the building in his name under his Glory of God Ministries, LLC. So the lawsuit is basically about, look, you didn't have the power or the authority to put this building in your name because it wasn't your building.
Right.
So that's about the easiest way I can explain it, because it is a lot. It's been a lot of court dates. It's been a lot of twisting and turning. But that's really...
Can That's
the most
exactly why I
succinct.
think there has been that, because I'm with you, because I said it too, that something has interesting has transpired
Mm-hmm.
in between the Moses and Whitehead, because I'm thinking, why in the hell would he have been comfortable doing that to begin
Right,
with?
and that's what
Like,
I said. Listen, I said the same thing on
mhm,
my live yesterday. I said the same thing, Conscious. I said I want to know how that conversation went. Because
yeah,
how do I just call you out the clear blue and say, "Hey, I see you got this piece of $2 million property," um, and you know what do I say to you to convince you to give me any sort of power or authority over that property, whether
hmm,
it's limited or not? So I agree. I think something ain't clean in the buttermilk. And I think that's why Moses and them have been so, because Gloria God been fighting this since December. Moses and them
yeah,
ain't said nothing.
nothing,
I mean, excuse me, if
nothing.
you approach somebody and say, hey, I'll pay more for the building than it's worth and back taxes if you let me do XYZ.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. I don't know none of these people from Hole in the Wall, and this is my opinion, but I
Because
just think something ain't clean in the buttermilk. Now, I ain't saying, look,
for
I ain't
sure,
accusing nobody
yeah,
of doing nothing. I'm just saying something ain't clean in the buttermilk. I
yeah,
just don't know what conversation you had with somebody to convince them to give you any sort of power in a $2 million building.
and
That
they
building,
didn't. And they didn't really, but I'm going to assume what Criminal Head did was he really internalized the probably very raw conversation that was had by the Moses, whatever frustrations they expressed about Gloria
mm-hmm,
God, congregation, and the building, and all of this. And then there's been this conversation around Gloria God wasn't paying rent for 2 months because their attorney got involved regarding taxes and told them to stop, and all of this,
yeah,
all of that. I
yeah,
don't know whether that gaslit the issue, etc. But it's been very, yeah, like a very raw conversation had to have happened for
mm-hmm,
Criminal Head to be like, okay, say no more.
exactly,
I'm going to get them
exactly,
up out of here. Say no more. Say no more. I'm
right.
gonna get them up out of here.
And now Whitehead is really about to scam both of them out the daggone building
And
if he gets away with that
that's
deed.
why Moses suing his that, because he's like,
That's
hold on
exactly
now.
why.
Right, because he's like, the
Exactly.
hell with Gloria God, nigga. Now you coming for the throne.
Exactly. Because
No, no,
they've
no.
been quiet all this time. Now all of a sudden they got
Yeah,
guns out, honey.
gun blink. Rightfully so, because they don't have any, because obviously they must have never thought he would go about it criminally. And the way Criminal Head is good at making himself appear larger than life and well connected, they probably
Mm-hmm.
thought he would just exhaust all of his legal options and his
Mm-hmm.
attorney friends and the mayor and whatever the fuck bullshit, he be spouting, and was like, look,
Mm-hmm. And he
I'm
probably
gonna
threw that
take
lie.
care of this. And when they got whiff of the fact that this dude presented a fake deed, it was like, so
Mm-hmm.
what else are you doing? What else are you doing? And what do you plan to do? Were you trying to also shake us down? Were you trying to go over
Mm-hmm.
my head and steal this building from us too? Like, now they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
They got to throw him away completely now, because what he did just put everybody on high alert, including,
Yep.
the trustees. And I don't blame them, but I don't know how long you've been here, but on the panel we was also discussing, like, it's just kind of, the Moses must have acted out of desperation in order to even deal with Blackhead, or they knew who he was, which would make the situation even more
Mm-hmm.
questionable on their part if they
And that's what I say
understood,
too.
yeah,
And
who he
that's what I
was.
say too. And that's why I said, what was the conversation? Because here's the thing that's clear to me. Bishop Whitehead is moving too, what's the word I'm looking for? He's moving too comfortable through
Yeah,
the ins and outs of the courts, which leads me to feel like you done this before. This ain't new to you. You know what you're doing. He's moving too swiftly. You know what I'm saying? He know what he's doing. And that's why he
why?
feels so comfortable. That's why he feels so comfortable.
What's wrong with him? Really, be like, this nigga
He
already got a
diabolical.
superseded indictment for producing fraudulent
This man
paperwork.
act like he ain't out on bail at all. He is just rolling through New York like he is not out on bail. Like he, child.
Like, nigga, you got a superseded indictment for fraud.
Child. This man is out on $500,000 bond, and he is rolling through New York like he about to go on vacation. Like he
Like
is
probably
just
is a Rolling
chilling.
Stone.
Yes. So
I
that's
got
but
to
that's
assume
why.
really, I got to assume really be that this man got to love him some New York trade because he's desperate to get his ass back around them toxic homosexuals in the penitentiary. He must love New York Federal Penitentiary trade on cell block 8 because he just leaning into his prison sentence. He just leaning in like just take me to the king. I ain't got much to bring. Like
Exactly.
what I would think it's easier to just let go of a lifestyle that is influencing you to have to do all these illegal things just to uphold. Isn't it easier to go get a damn job? Isn't it easier to
You
just
would
like
think.
modify one's lifestyle until you're in a legal position to live a high valued ass lifestyle? Like
But
I have
people
never
want it. People want. They want it fast. They don't want. They don't have no patience. They don't. They don't want. They don't want it. They just want it fast.
insane. Insane. Well, thank
So
you
what
for
you gonna
coming
think?
up
What
with
you think he gonna do now that he don't have no? I mean, that pod he don't have his patsy. What he gonna do now?
this man probably is already on to the next property. He probably already doing the same shit he was doing with this church. Already got his eyes set on another property, finna bamboozle, hoodwink, because he obviously is addicted to public perception and making sure that his image looks accordingly. And but
Mm-hmm.
because he has no resources, he has no money, he has no
Mm-mm.
sustainable income. Okay, Brandy, you killing me with all this fucking ruffling and Dorito bagging you doing over there.
My bad. I'm about to mute.
But I can only assume that he's going to continue to put his foot in his mouth. He that's all he has been doing since last year. It's just been one crime committed allegedly after another, and it's really his only way to
A
sustain
mess.
all of this. He doesn't have the heart to humble himself because he know and
Mm-mm.
believes too many people will feel vindicated if he toned it down. He knows too many
Mm-hmm.
people will laugh and feel like, haha, I told you so, and gag him if he actually modifies it. So in order to keep his haters from having the last laugh, he's willing to fake hold on to this fake ass lifestyle, even though it's going to lead him to the same unfortunate outcome, because our last laugh is going to be his ass being
Getting
penalized,
locked up.
right, and not letting your ass out. So,
Okay.
but what you think? Like, what you think is the next script?
Well, I mean, when we gonna start having some court dates for this federal indictment? Hello.
I'm like, but I was just saying on the panel too, really. I said it's clear to me that the feds are letting this man really just dangle himself over the cliff, because
They
the more
must
time they
be.
actually leave him to be out here to fall on desperate times, the more crime he commits, which is only going to help them in the long run in terms of what I can assume is this intent to put him away for good. And they're really wanting to thicken that 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 context as much as possible
Mm-hmm.
in order to accomplish that, because the man been trying to finance his house by producing fake bank records, allegedly trying to
Mm.
outfraud the banking system. So he's just committing crime upon crime upon crime, and I'm sure the FBI and the DA are somewhere really with their feet kicked up, just eating popcorn, enjoying the shit show, because they're going to have their way with his ass when it's time, when time is up. So, matter of fact, so do you think there's going to be another superseded indictment? Because I'm going to assume that with this fake
I
situation, that they're going to supersede and include that too, and all this fraudulent going on.
don't know, but when they gonna revoke his bail? I mean, there's got to be some bail violations in here.
I know one of the bail um whatchamacallit, where he could not harm another. But I wonder if that only means physically or how interpretive that is in terms of harm, because technically this could be considered harm as well. Like you're manipulating people
Yeah.
out of their. I mean, like you're inconveniencing people. You're frauding people. This is harm. But so that's what leads me to believe that even though they could have been put his ass away in a way to trial, that this must be a part of their strategy, is to let him just build his own case, continue to allow the snowball to become bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, so that when it comes to a jury, when it comes to, front and center stage, it'll be an open and closed case. It'll be just,
Yeah.
they won't have to work that hard. And to be honest, if they put me on the fucking stand and they erupted all of this on the exhibit table, easy conviction. Guilty.
Yeah.
Like
You.
guilty, because it's so blatant and explicit, and it's like he's just at this point committing crime out loud. He's not even really trying to hide it. Like, it's just
I think
so
he's unraveling. I think he's starting to lose it. I really do.
absolutely, it's a mess. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess we're going to continue to have content until trial day, because
Yep.
we have no choice but to keep up the shenanigans. So we have no choice
Well,
but to keep informing the people.
yeah. Well, thanks for letting me come up. I'm about to go
Thank
eat
you.
my dinner.
Okay, love.
All right, conscious crew.
This is Really B Nation, you guys. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Moderators, please post Really B's
Thank
link in the
you.
chat. So I appreciate you, love.
Thank you so much. All right, y'all. I'm out.
That was Really B, you guys. All right, Brian, we're gonna wrap it up. I gotta jump into Patreon to give Bad Boys 2 review. Oh, speaking of Patreon, you guys. So Bad Boys review. You guys may or may not know, Bad Boys Season 2 is being reviewed in the Patreon. I couldn't bring myself to review it this season on the main platform because it's so trashy. I just felt guilty for just giving Zeus that free for promotion, because his content is just so bad, but it's also the talk of the town, and it's a guilty pleasure. So I'm like, you know what? I'll put it behind a paywall where they can't benefit from the algorithm or anything by me talking about this shit with my folk who also watch just trashy ass shit. So we're about to get into Patreon as soon as it's in. Also, I'm going to be bringing a spiritual advisor to the platform. This is an incredible human being. He also is a content creator. And you guys, some of you may know him because I do have a few Conscious crew members who are subscribed to his platform, but he's going to be newly introduced here officially on the platform, either by the end of this week or next week. But what I decided to do for my Patreon members was to pay for some personal readings. Okay, so at some point in our interview, more than likely toward the middle end of it, he's going to be giving out readings. He's going to be doing personal readings, and he's a gifted reader. He even read for me a few days ago, and I was shooketh. Okay, so if you are in the Patreon, there is a post in Patreon for those who are interested in receiving a free reading. This is the only way you would get a reading, girl, for free, is you have to join Patreon, okay? And leave your name and what area that you want insight into under the post, and then I'm going to submit everybody questions live on air, their name and their questions, to the advisor. He's going to read, and that way you guys can also, for those of you who will not be able to catch the replay, will not be able to catch the live stream for whatever reason, you can also still get your reading in the replay. Okay, so that post is in the Patreon, and you have to be in Patreon to be qualified for a free reading. Okay, with that being said, B,
Yo,
I want to thank you for being here, and I need to encourage you to not be a fucking stranger.
I'm not a stranger. I told you I'm a bush baby.
Well, that's what I mean by stranger, okay? Shit, you're in the bush, baby. You a stranger. I don't see you. I don't know where you at, okay? I'm gonna need you to hit the link and be commenting and shit. But hit me up on Instagram.
Okay.
When we're done, I appreciate you. Any lasting thoughts that you want to give to people before we follower?
No. I said everything that I wanted to say, but I do appreciate you, man. Your content is always fire. I appreciate your impartiality, and when you do have an opinion, you very well state that opinion. You know what
That
I'm
part.
saying? I'm going to start being more present, but if
Yeah.
you don't see me, always know I'm in the bushes.
Always.
But other than that, man, I catch you in Patreon.
Okay.
I'll see you in a little
Oh,
bit, and
you're
I'll
in.
catch you next one.
Are you in Patreon already?
Yeah.
See, y'all, how y'all gonna be Bush babies everywhere?
I was in Patreon when you first started it.
You know what, Brad? I'm gonna have to do a meet and greet. And what I want to happen is I want to organize a CTV meet and greet exclusively for my Bush babies. I want y'all all to line up, and then I just want to slap the hell out of y'all one at a time. Just one good, infinite, divine slap across the face to just. Cause how you gonna be Bush babies everywhere? Even in Patreon.
Hey,
Let me tell y'all why I'm shook at what Brandon just said, y'all. I got a few hundred people in Patreon. Only a third of those few hundred people interact with the Patreon. They be right there, just looking, listening, watching. But don't say shit. Don't interact with shit. But they support. I gotta give the Bush babies that. They are invisible and silent supporters, but my God, today, you guys got to come out of that sky, okay? Y'all gotta come out of that sky at least sometime. I ain't gonna try to turn introverts into extroverts, but just every now and again, like Brandon just did. Brandon dropped down, and you know what? He'll probably be here on the next 47th full moon. He'll drop down again, okay? So just occasionally show your damn face and let me know it's real, okay? But thank you for being here. Hit me up on Instagram. I love you, bro, and I'll see you in Patreon as well.
Peace and love, brother. Peace and love.
That was Brandon, you guys. Conscious crew member. So this was an epic live. I'm gonna have to change the name of this live stream, girl, because we did some digging. Child, shout out to the panel for all the clarity, because I'm now I don't feel so bad for being the only one who was like, bitch, what? Okay, apparently a lot of us was like, what? But we did the damn thing, okay? Everybody compiling this shit together. So this was fucking epic, okay? So I'm gonna change the name of this video when I'm done. Jump your ass in Patreon. We about to get into Bad Boys Season 2, Episode 2 review, which I'm like an hour late for. I love you all. Leave all of your thoughts and questions and comments below. And as an FYI, like, when I open up content and I preference the content by saying, hey, I ain't kept up with this story. You know, I've been looking from afar. I've been looking, passively. Then there's no need for you to tell me to not motherfucking talk about a fucking story when I already done gave you the fucking disclaimer that I'm gonna fucking talk about it, for one. But I'm talking about it without being acutely informed on the matter, okay? I don't have to understand every motherfucking bone and pothole and every fucking screw in a damn story to give commentary on it. I'm a commentator, not a goddamn journalist, not a forensic goddamn scientist. I'm not a goddamn zoologist, okay? There sometimes will be content that I'll put the magnifying glass to. But then the content that I ain't did that with, I will clearly tell y'all. And I'm still gonna run my goddamn dick sucker. Just like y'all gonna be right here to run y'all and figure shit out, okay? So it's gonna be what the fuck it's gonna be, okay? But when I give y'all that disclaimer, shut the hell up. Shut the fuck up. When I say I ain't put the magnifying glass in some shit, that means that I done destroyed any desire. I done set the precedence for you to close your motherfucking mouth and just enjoy the gatherings and the speculations and the half, partially wrong, kind of, sort of, not completely factual commentary that I'm still about to deliver to your ass epically, okay? And if you want to help me fill in what I already done told you I know a little bit about I'm always willing to drop the link so we can come and do what we did to motherfucking day. But never think I'm only gonna go live. Okay? When I done applied my master's degree in nosology fully, baby. Y'all gonna know when I done when I'm applying the master's degree level on that shit, okay? But shit, I'm like, yeah, always let it be known. Just like what we did with R. Kelly. Somebody got on me about allowing Javante Cunningham, who was a part of the surviving R. Kelly docu-series on Lifetime. You guys know she's a supporter of the platform, and she came up and gave us insight because there was a R. Kelly apologist on the panel. Okay, and she came up and got her ass together. Okay, our beauty and me. Okay, our very own R. Kelly apologist, baby. And then somebody underneath the somebody commented underneath the video talking about, why did you let her up there? She don't know what she's talking about, and you should have known better than to let her up. I'm like, bitch, huh? Girl, I shouldn't have known a motherfucking thing but to drop the goddamn link and allow whoever the fuck want to come up on the platform to come up on the platform. And if I already done told you throughout the commentary that I have not paid the closest attention to the R. Kelly shit, that I have not watched every trial, I ain't caught every motherfucking interview, I ain't sat through every goddamn cartoon episode, bitch, I ain't seen a lot of it, okay, that I have had a passive experience of the subject matter, then how the hell am I going to refute this fucking woman about things I don't know to be true or fucking false? Because remember, I have not followed the R. Kelly case closely. That's the whole point of me even providing the fucking disclaimer. So that you know that going into the commentary. Okay, so what's the point of even giving those disclaimers just for motherfuckers to still say that bullshit? Oh, why you let her say that? Bitch, what do you mean? Why I let her say that? Do I look like I have strings connected to her goddamn mouthpiece? What the fuck am I going to refute about something I don't know a lot about? I'm sitting here getting the story with y'all. Fuck. Nonetheless, Patreon it is. I just got a Cash App. Hold on, let me shut up my Cash App. Let me. Oh, and whoever this person was that was able to communicate with me on iPhone, girl, I did block your ass. Okay, do not be motherfucking texting me. You refuse to identify yourself in the text, but you want to provide me information. Bitch, I don't talk to strangers. Okay? Including those who show up in the highways and byways of text, girl. Okay? If I'm telling you, hold on, before you get to saying whatever the fuck you saying, who are you and how did you get my number? But you're just going to continue to just override all of that and divulge the tea to me. That's going to get you blocked, baby. You're going to be wasting your motherfucking time with those goddamn Bible verses and all that writing on the wall and shit. Like, I don't want to talk to a motherfucker and I don't know who the fuck you is. I don't even have no way of vetting what you're saying against nothing and nothing because you want to be anonymous. You want to be anonymous while talking to my known ass. No. Okay? Do not hit up my fucking person. Right. Exactly. And that's why blockity block, Crystal. That's exactly why I had to put a motherfucker to the blockity block. Okay? Right off the bat, you already done turned me off. You already done destroyed your credibility because you refuse to identify your motherfucking self, which is a very easy way to push disinformation without accountability because you are concealing your fucking identity. I don't play those games. Okay? Motherfuckers are weird, y'all. I'm trying to tell you. Weird, y'all. People crazy. People crazy. Really crazy. Okay? Shout out to Natasha. Thank you so much, boo. Connect mobile on YouTube. Hold on, connect. I don't know how to do that. Connect mobile on YouTube. Hold on. Before I think you're a good person, connect mobile on YouTube. I don't know what. Okay, Natasha, you might have to email me, boo, to expound a bit. Shout out to Deborah. Shout out to Natasha. Shout out to Lewis. Shout out to T. Nicole. Shout out to my baby mother, Patricia. Shout out to Sabra. Thank you guys so much. All donation information is in the link below. About to get into Patreon. Have a great day, you guys. Bye.